All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right, folks, welcome back to TCL Week 1. We got match 3 right here. We've got two fantastic teams coming here, both Control coming back officially as captain Reform Bully for the first time, but I think everyone here is willing or ready to see Control here back on the stage against the newcomer Tony with his mid laner Sandy Snake. This is going to be a fantastic matchup. I'm here joined with Mr. Spirit of Fate, as always, one of my favorite guys to co-cast with. How are you doing, Spirit?
Fantastic. How about yourself, Abarn?
I'm doing really good. Wojtek, I can notice you. You have been noticed in chat. My man, you are doing so good. Um, very happy to have you all watching tonight. We're so excited to see both of these teams. And we've got in the top lane our matchup, Mr. Music X versus the Musical Jaws. Most notably, the Musical Jaws, most know him just as Jaws, has been one of our casters for multiple seasons. One of our best casters, I think. He does a really, really good job. He has finally put the armor on, gotten the sword unsheathed, and he is ready to actually be on the battlefield and come play in our season 5. This is his first official competitive match in probably about 5 or 6 years. I'm excited to see that. What are you expecting out of this top lane matchup from what you've seen?
Honestly, this top lane matchup is going to be pretty interesting. I've heard through the grapevine that Jaws has been working with some of the best top laners that we honestly have had historically in this season. And not coincidentally, one of my teammates. So I'm very excited to see if all that practice is going to show itself now in the Rift. Interestingly, he's going to be up against Music, one of the mainstays of a TCL. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether Jaws can kind of add some new flavor to the top lane, or if Music's experience will shine through here.
Yeah, and right here in the jungle, going matchup by matchup, we've got Tony versus Reform Bully. Now, Tony comes in, and people know him to be some of the best, I would say one of the best junglers, probably, but he's also pretty unknown, and all of his teammates don't know who he is. Meanwhile, we've got Reform Bully a little bit in, a little bit out, maybe a little bit toxic at times, and he's coming back to the league after a bit of a hiatus, let's say. But I think he's coming back and he wants to win. What are you expecting out of the jungle?
The jungle is going to be quite interesting. I've heard some, I'll say, very ambitious talk from Bully about his ranking in the jungle hierarchy. So this will, if he can prove himself against Tony, who, like you said, probably has from at least a solo queue perspective, has some of the best ranking performance in the jungle. That'll definitely be something. Something. It'll be certainly a feather in his cap. By the way, I feel like we should probably dive into the pick and ban here a little bit now that we've gotten that going. Do you have any thoughts that we've seen an Udyr and a Syndra ban for Team Lemonade and a Morgana and Mordekaiser for Team Control or Crowd Control? Sorry. Do you have any particular thoughts on this?
I mean, the only thing that I'll say is that like the LeBlanc ban is pretty much guaranteed for Control. That's what he's gonna play. Syndra is kind of an interesting one. Like you look at Sandy, and what he specializes in is typically mages who like can just sit in lane. Like he's a very I don't know if I'd call him a passive player, but he's a very safe player and he makes very few mistakes. And that's like his goal is to sit in lane, just own the lane. He does make roams when it's necessary, but it's really hard to punish him. And so I just question what's the point of banning control out, especially when like you can take Bully off of the couple champs that you know that he wants to play. Like Nocturne's on that list, like Jaws especially, who has a champ list of about 2 or 3 champions that he's really comfortable on. My thought is that you just want to pressure them at some point. Oh, we're back at the. If our producer could go into studio mode before that, the stream could see the changes you're making right now. You could head back to Champ Select, open studio mode, and then click over. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and
Perfect,
as I'm
perfect,
seeing
perfect.
Rook Stout call out, there is no Yumi ban this time, and we kind of went spiraling into the top and jungle matchup, and we didn't really get to talk about my preferred matchup, the support specifically with a certain Lemonilla making his triumphant return to TCL. Certainly quite the week 1 matchup going up against Rudy, who has had was just coming off of a championship run. So this is going to be really exciting for me, and I find it interesting that his Morgana, as opposed to Soraka, Lulu, or dare I say it, Yumi, is the one that actually drew the ban. And now we're seeing a Nautilus hover too, which was wow. Lemon's first game back into TCL, and he's already making a statement, pulling out the Nautilus to start with.
So I did check in with Tony talking about his team, and that's typically a thing everyone does. You check in, how's everyone doing? And one of the interesting things he told me is he said that they are performing way, way, way better with Lemon on engaged supports as opposed to enchanters. Now, I don't know what that is, but I think part of that is that Speedy, who is one of the most well-known and some would say maybe one of the best ADCs in the league, he wants to be able to basically move Lemon around the lane and then the game almost like an RTS character, right? And that's going to be his goal there. And I think what he found out is that if he just had a simple go button that they could use, the two of them could synergize really well together, even though they haven't played a ton together so far.
No, it certainly makes sense. And the thing is, Lemon has played Nautilus before. It's also possible they may be trying to take Nautilus and some of the engaged champs away from Rudy, who always favored those. That said, I'm pretty sure that this Amumu that they have picked out is going to be for Rudy. I think I've heard him say that he's very fond of the new and possibly broken Amumu support. And combined with the Misfortune for AI Box would be a very potent combo.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of AI Box, we've got AI Box versus Speedy Bandito. AI Box coming after, especially High Ace. Did he play season 3? Did he
I
take both
don't think
season
so. I
3
think
and
he took
season
a
4
break
off?
for season 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think you're right too. I think he was out for both. And he's finally back. And I think the thing that everyone knows AI Box for is he has a lot of really high moments and he has some low moments. And a lot of the low moments are pretty much just rust that he has to shake off. But we've seen the best out of him. And the question every game is like, are you going to get the good AI Box? And are you going to get the bad one? And I can tell from personal experience, the less that he's pressured in lane, the more that he's going to do well in the game.
It's funny you say that because my impression of Box is actually quite the opposite. I always have seen him much more as the stabilizing force, the very consistent one. So granted I haven't seen him since season 2, so this is going to be really interesting.
It really is going to be. By the way, Speedy Bandito with the Caitlyn, not something we would typically expect out of him. I will also note that the Zeri is not banned, and that has been something that everyone has been knowing him to want to play pretty much every game available. We've obviously seen him play it before, but it's just a little bit interesting to see him immediately lock in the Caitlyn first rotation instead of something higher priority.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that we're seeing for the second round bans, both of the team Lemonade's bans are targeted at Jaws, whereas both the team Control's bans are targeted at Sandy. Very interesting. Especially because unless Music is taking this Trundle, which frankly speaking he might. I know Music is a big fan of Trundle top. Uh, but if he's taking Trundle, I don't know why he would be concerned about the Maokai. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting choice.
Well, I think honestly, my answer to that is I think what happened is they watched Blood play Maokai. It was
Fair enough.
yeah, it was scary enough that nothing else was relevant. That's my honest answer.
No, I mean that makes sense. Yeah, but I feel like if you're going to be taking Trundle top and potentially the Sejuani, it feels to me as though you shouldn't be as concerned about tank top laners. But I'm not a top laner, so I'll defer to your wisdom on that one.
By the way, quickly, as always, if anyone would like to join as a draft interview, join the customs lobby. We will pull you in. Once we go live, we'll spend the 3 minutes talking a bit about the draft and the comps overall. If anyone wants to come give their thoughts, join the customs lobby in the Discord server,
Yeah.
and we will pull you in.
Interestingly, we kind of skated over this, but it looks like we're going to have Gnar in the top lane for Jaws and Pantheon in the jungle for Reformed Bully. I have only seen inklings of the Pantheon jungle. I know he's had a little bit of success with it in team practices from what I've heard, but it's going to be interesting because this will allow him to have a considerable amount of macro flexibility just because the semi-global alt, he's going to probably be calling a lot of the shots. And I'll be honest, crowd control has a lot of go buttons right here. They have Reform Bully, they have a Mumu, and then they also potentially have the Gnar if Jaws can properly time his megas. So there's lots of go buttons and lots of mass damage, especially when combined with AI box and control. So very big wombo potential there.
It is huge wombo potential. The thing I'm going to be looking out for is the top lane here. Obviously, Music has been relegated onto his tank. We had been talking to Tony about what to expect out of this, and I might be leaking a little bit, and I apologize in advance, Tony. But Tony basically says to me, "Yeah, well, Music pulled out the Trundle, and then he built an Essence Reaver, and I just had to make sure that he knew that when he's playing a tank, he's got to play a tank." Obviously, the Trundle ended up on Tony on this one, but I think Tony has just been trying to basically come up with a strategy, make sure the team is willing to play it. The only thing that I'm wondering here is like, where's the damage? This is a very like classic TCL comp. Like, oh, pick Trundle, pick Sejuani, pick Nautilus, and then pick 2 random damage dealers. And like,
Yeah.
if everyone was of equal skill, I would vastly, vastly prefer the control composition.
It's certainly much easier to, easier to pilot. The one thing I will note here is that Sandy Snake is a very, very competent Viger, and if you want somebody who can screw up a wombo combo, Viger definitely is near the top of that list. Actually, frankly speaking, Trundle too. Between the pillar and the baby cage, there's lots of stuff, and the Caitlyn traps. There's lots of just, for lack of a better word, crap that they can scatter around a small choke or around a lane. It'll make actually fighting into these guys pretty challenging. And
We have just had Bloodbath and Beyond join us in the stream right here. Blood is joining us to talk about the stream, or talk about the draft rather. Blood, who do you think won draft, and who do you think is going to win the game?
What's up, boys? Thought you looked a little lonely up here. I think I don't know. I'm liking stuff from both teams here. I like the bot lane on Team Crowd Control. I think that MF and Mumu is not only quite strong, that's something they've been practicing a lot. Meanwhile, the top side, Music's pulling out the Sedge top, very good champion right now. The Trundle is just very good in the jungle right now, and also I really like the Vigar off of Sandy Snake. Makes it really hard for Mumu and Gnar to engage their team. Sandy's just had a good Vigar for years in this league, anyways. So I don't really know who I would say won draft. I think both teams got a lot of stuff they want.
were there any picks that just sort of jumped out and surprised you, Blood? Obviously, for me, it was Lemon, like early picking the Nautilus. But is there any others that didn't land quite what you expected from the two teams?
No, not exactly. I think maybe the most surprising thing is the Pantheon jungle from Bully, just because that was not necessarily something I expected from him, but also not too surprising because I know he's been trying to play some more of those carries. But like, I don't know. I think a number of these things were on people's radar between Rudy's been playing the Mumu, Music's been playing the Sedge, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Actually, having played a season with Speedy, I am a tiny surprised to see that Caitlyn. That was not something we would normally put him on last season. But I mean, he's a good ADC. He can play whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, and again, I think that's fair. And once again, like with Lemon, you go and you talk to these teams and you look at what they've been succeeding with. Things like the Nautilus make sense. The question I'm just going to keep asking is, what are you going to do with this like 3 tank comp that's so classic to TCL? And it's not like Viger or Caitlyn are tank killers. So, you know, we'll see. I guess the game will tell. Bloodbath and Beyond, thank you for joining us. We are now loading into lobby, and we'll see if those predictions come through. Have a good one. All right, perfect. Blood is out. We are now loading into game right here. We're going to get started very soon. This is so exciting. Both Control and AI Box, both of which have taken their hiatuses from TCL, coming back. Actually, Bully too, coming
And
back
Lemon.
on the same team. And Lemon. I actually just realized that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Four-
So we got
what is it,
Bully,
4 out of the
Control,
10
Box,
players?
Lemon, and
Actually,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because wait, was Control wasn't in last season, was he?
No, he was in season 3 though.
Okay, so yeah, because for crowd control, then 4 out of the 5 members didn't play last season. That's wild. I didn't realize it was that substantial.
No, it really is. That's absolutely mind blowing.
Mhm. It looks like we're getting pretty standard 5-ish point. Music's doing a little bit of a dance up there, back and forth, but
He is.
everyone else is pretty standard 5 pointing here. Nothing too unusual. I'm gonna be really curious to see how, like as I've mentioned, Tony is the highest ranked of the junglers. I'm curious to see how he and Bully are both going to path, because Bully obviously This is his first season actually playing jungle in TCL, but from what he's been saying to me, he has a lot of interesting theories about pathing and about the proper way to play jungle. So it's going to be interesting to see whether rank ends up playing a big role here, or whether or not it's Bully actually does have some secret sauce that he's going to be able to pull out.
Yeah, well, to be completely fair though, Bully has a lot of theories about everything. That
This
doesn't
is true.
necessarily
This is
mean
true.
that they're good theories.
We are seeing something rather interesting though, where we're having the junglers start on opposite sides of the jungle, which would seem to be that Tony's going to be pathing top towards music, whereas Bully is going to be heading down towards Box and Rudy. What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, well, the question is like Trundle also notably is going straight red to blue right here, and my guess is what he wants to do is he's going to want to clear back towards bot side, and ultimately possibly meet towards bot scuttle. I honestly don't like. I haven't watched what's been going on with crowd control. Like Bully, I don't really know the path that he's going to go after. You know, he might be trying to make this a mid angle. If I wouldn't be entirely surprised if he just wants to go and spam gank bot over and over and like get box. As I said, the way that Box plays, he just tends to do really, really well when he's not pressured and really poorly when he is pressured. So if I'm a jungler, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, hey, I've got a little bit of risk mitigation to do.
Yeah, and already oh my gosh, Speedy and Lemon already going up with the proactive ward in the bot side and their bot
Hey,
side.
coming in on the gank here, the musical jaws level 2. He does not have the hop. He does have to flash over. Tony is running him down with the red buff. Will be able to get it, and he flashes in, gets first blood.
Oh my gosh! Well, we saw the dividends of that very fast clear of his, where he just went buff, and then immediately top, and it was very evident that Jaws was not prepared for that.
Well, he really wasn't. You know, he goes and he takes those, you know, the 3 fastest camps that he possibly can, and just due to the state of the wave, Jaws isn't even level 3.
Yeah, and
one of the things, if you expect it, if you're a NAR player, sometimes you'll just take your E level 2 just in case. In this case, he did not, and of course, we saw what happened.
For it, yeah. This is very interesting. Also, Bully is full cleared his topside camp, and now he's going for bot scuttle. Looks like we're getting a bit of a gank here.
The gank is coming through. Rudy now with the Q onto it. Reform Bully has flash and gotten the W onto Speedy Bandito, but they're just going to walk away completely fine from that.
Yeah. Looks like they did
overextension.
Speedy's flash, but otherwise, nothing really lost for this.
Yeah, nothing at all. Not terrible, but yeah, as we expected, Bully did actually come down and just go straight to bot line to try to help Box out.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting here. I was wondering if the bot lane from crowd control is also a little frazzled. They double warded their near bush. They got pushed away for the level 1, and granted, I mean, Caitlyn is pretty good at bullying like the early levels there, and Speedy in particular, having played with him, I know is very experienced with that. But we have Tony also positioning up.
Oh, wow, the engage has come in. Rudy is playing Speedy. Lemon is slaying AI Box. Now Tony, top lane, is going in on the musical jaws. We're going to have another gank, the repeat, and they're going to get the kill.
Oh my gosh, Music tanked a few of those there.
He did, but he made it. Oh my god. Had to fight bot lane, had the regank top lane. By the way, Tony went and stole some of the top side camps too, and he was just hanging out around top side. This top lane is going to hurt for Jaws.
Yeah, and the interesting thing there was we saw that Rudy picked up the kill on Speedy, but Lemon was immediately able to get the counter kill on AI Box. So really nothing doing there in terms of an advantage one way or another. Though I will say the gold on Amoom was probably slightly more valuable than the gold on Nautilus, but that's a pretty even toss.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the question is in this case, like, who is left with the better lane state? And right now, this freeze is going to look really, really good for AI Box and control here.
Interestingly, we have Bully back topside, I guess, collecting his camps there. The one thing is, it's very difficult to freeze on an MF, or sorry, not an MF, on Caitlyn. Just the substantial range. So long as she has a support to make sure that she's not ganked or engaged on, it's pretty tricky.
It is. Tony coming around bot side, clearing these camps. They're going to want to set up for the dragon because right now they do have really easy lane priority. At the end of the day, I trust Speedy and Lemon to be able to own the beginning of this lane and push up and start taking objectives.
Yep, it looks like Tony is looking to prepare a little bit of vision control. Nice pink ward there. Very good choice. He's going to take away the blast cone. And then, is he going for dragon or is he positioning around control?
Well, I think he's positioning around nomming up some camps. Nom 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 nom.
Fair enough, yeah. Interesting. I thought that they might try to use the pressure from having bot lane pushed out to try to go for early dragon, but I guess not. No, and I think that it's interesting because Bully has been able to pick up quite a few more camps than Tony, but Tony is still up a level. It's
Well,
I'm assuming it's just an
Tony-
daily XP def,
I
but
say the 2 kills typically help with that as well.
yeah, no, definitely. But it's kind of interesting though because my guess, and granted, I'm not again, I'm not. This is not my champion, but I would imagine that Pantheon could like Pantheon's usefulness as a jungler. I always thought sort of goes down a little bit the further he gets from level 6. Obviously, level 6 is a big spike. But then I thought the early levels in the point-click stun were generally where he tends to feel very useful.
Yeah, I would say my only real problem with the comp that they've put together here is like, what are you going to exert this pressure on? And he, as I say that, of course, he is posturing to take this red buff, which if Tony knows that, he'll be able to trade this. But like, oh, we got an engagement in the bot lane right here, and Lemonella is gone. 2 of them are going back and forth. Rudy up here taking a lot of damage at the end of the day, but they just walk away from it.
No, absolutely. And it was actually very, very clever there. Lemon did the right thing where when you're a support and your AD carry gets engaged on,
Oh,
you have 2
Pantheon
choices.
coming down on the gank on the backside. The Misfortune, Make It Rain, is coming down to get the slow, but no stun onto anybody. I think Lemon had a really good play. I think he threw the dredge line at Reform Bully, and Reform Bully actually never got a stun down.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Lemon's been doing a very solid job here in terms of making sure that he uses his dredge line to interrupt the whatever threat is being posed to Speedy, whether it's MF or Pantheon.
Now,
Making it
coming
very
up with it,
tricky.
yeah, the 2 of it, they are going to start the dragon. I don't really like this right now.
They're
Sammy's
not
got to
healthy.
be able to get there earlier. Rudy is way too far forward. He's got nothing, and the baby cage comes down, and he's absolutely going to one-shot Reform Bully on the top of the fight. And this is going to be a free dragon here. 14 Lemonade.
Yeah, absolutely. That's you can't be taking the dragon with your bot. They had a little bit of prio bot, but like there was no mystery about what they were doing, where they were going. Viger had prio mid, he could rotate down, and Bully was just not healthy there. Like you saw his health, he was less than half health. Like, and bot lane wasn't all set. That was a very, very bold play.
It sure was, and the interesting thing was watching control there. I would have loved to see the wave say, "Oh, bot lane." Rudy walks up into the wave accidentally. He's gonna be okay. Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm curious about is what happened with control there, who had the health advantage. Obviously, a wave was building up, but there seemed to have just been a lack of communication, where he had to say something like, "Hey guys, get off the dragon. I am in no wave state to actually contest this."
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that it was just sort of a miscommunication there, if anything.
Yeah, no, it totally is, but whatever. He made it. We are seeing a great game at the beginning of this come out for Team Lemonade. Unfortunately, I'm just not seeing any gameplay in here from crowd control. And again, the thing I'm left wondering about is if you're going to pick the Pantheon, but you're going to pick a bunch of really passive lanes, other than probably your bot lane, who we kind of have seen how that goes. What was your expectation on how this game was going to be?
Well, and that's where I think that like the Caitlyn was a bit of a surprise, but I think it was a very good choice for this particular matchup because, as you mentioned, like Amumu Misfortune is already suggesting a very aggressive lane, one where you want to aim for kills. There are 2 ways to counter that. 1, play super passive and play very defensive, or 2, build a bully lane of your own, no pun intended, and fight them. And that's where what Speedy's been able to do, and with the Caitlyn pick, and between Caitlyn and Nautilus, you lose that edge that Misfortune and Amumu in theory should have. And then Tony as well has been very, very aggressive about getting the ganks on Jaws early, and so at this point he can largely just leave music on an island, and I don't think that the Gnar is really in a position to ever really threaten.
No, you're right, and we've got the ultimate Oh, we got topside, a fight coming in. Musical Jaws almost gets taken down right outside of turret. Music is walking in. This man looks like he wants to go. And ultimately, Jaws is going to flash out. Aggression from Music on the Sejuani top of all things. Great
Yeah,
play.
and I think that the Trundle also picked up Heralds. This is going to be a ton of damage. Actually, possibly a kill on this.
Yeah, well, he...
Sorry, it's on the
yeah,
turret, yeah.
on the turret. No, I had a feeling what you meant here. Yeah, they're going to get that turret. And if we look at the gold difference right here, oh my gosh, the Sejuani's up about 2,000 gold right at the start of the game. That's going to hurt.
It's going to be a truly difficult thing to cut through, especially with Pantheon. Like, in theory, this Trundle can cut through anybody on the enemy team. This Pantheon though, like if he runs into especially Music, there's nothing he's gonna be able to do there. Like he'll be beating on Music all day before he gets a kill.
Well, the interesting thing that we have here, oh my god, yeah, look, the Sejuani actually has the most gold of anyone in the game. Even Control, who's sitting here with a really comfortable farm lead, even Control doesn't have the kind of gold that the Sejuani has because of those, assists on the first two kills, and then the turret plates, and just about everything. This is going to be a big, scary board.
Yeah, and the interesting bit here is this as is usually the case on Control's teams.
Oh, the flash comes across the wall. Sandy Snake runs away. Reform Bully able to find the kill right here. Control a little bit too far forward. Bully ultimately going to have to go down for it. Wow, great flash by Reform Bully over the wall, but ultimately they are going to trade 1-for-1 on that. And this Trundle is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, this is actually a case where I know that Pantheon obviously does well with kill gold, but I think that this is a situation where you
finds him from behind. Music X going in on Control, who gets a little too far forward. Oh my god!
Another kill on this Trundle. Holy moly, this guy's gonna be a monster. How much gold does Trundle have at this point?
A lot. A whole lot.
Oh my gosh. He finally managed to find a way to surpass Music. Actually,
yeah, he did.
The other thing I was gonna oh my gosh, Music, you are bold. I think he was a little early on that one, but if Tony was maybe a couple inches shorter, or a couple inches closer, I think that could have also been another kill. Ugh, rough trot.
It's absolutely a rough trot. Right here, it was funny because I forgot the futures market existed, and I looked, and Bully had negative gold, and I was like, seems about right for what's going on in this game right now. But of course,
it definitely feels that way, yeah.
It definitely feels that way. It was a meme for a second, but ultimately, the Tone Dog absolutely taking control of this game on the Trundle.
So let's talk through a little bit of what is going right for crowd control, because obviously we've already praised Music and Music and Tony and all the success they've been having. I've said some good stuff about Lemon, as is my job. But yes, in terms of what's going well, AI Box is up about a healthy 20 gold, 20 CS on Misfortune. They do have a solid CS lead on Victor, so their carries are still getting a good amount of farm. It's just that they just need to find a way to actually translate that into winning team fights. That's the other thing that we've been seeing. They haven't actually had a whole lot of team fight opportunities where it's all been like quick, like two-person skirmishes, and their team comp in theory should really excel when it gets later into the game and it's 5v5. And they actually are able to make use of the Amumu, the Misfortune, the Victor ults all on top of one another.
Yeah, interestingly here, and I have to look at basically what is the win condition if you're Control. Obviously, Control is getting fed. AI Box has found his ability to farm in this. Ultimately, those two carries are going to be strong, and hey, listen, a Victor with a Leandries over 3 people is still really scary despite the game state, and ultimately, you don't have a lot of ability to press the lead. But I don't know. This team is looking really dominant here from Team Lemonade. That's what I'm concerned about right now.
Yeah, no, and I was seeing, is that turret go down? No, this turret's still very much there. Have they even touched it? I'm talking crowd control on the Lemonade Stand's turret. Oh, Team Lemonade's turret.
We have a gank coming here. Music X wants blood. He's coming around. Oh, interestingly, they actually call it off. I wonder why.
I'm assuming that they saw that Jaws running away from the minions. They assumed that they had stepped on a ward. So at this point, though, they may find ripe targets from control mid, but I think he's wise to it as well.
Yeah, he might be. Or maybe they just said, you know what, we've caused you enough pain, Jaws. You know, you didn't deserve this. Maybe we'll give you a break on this one.
No, it was kind of funny because for a hot second, Music actually was pushing he was actually almost had as much farm as Speedy did.
That was really.
Yeah, no, it was for a short, brief moment in time. Speedy's obviously started scaling past it, especially as Music starts to do more of these roams. But yeah, he's been farming very well for himself. He's got all those.
Nautilus hook in the bot lane right here. Tony's in. The pillar has come up. They actually might be able to find a kill. The ult is down. Rudy running away. A great ult, but ultimately it will not matter. Another fantastic gank. Reform Bully comes in with the ult. Maybe he channeled that a little early because there was nothing really to show for that.
He's lucky that hook did not land there. It's kind of an interesting situation there. I want to call out a couple things that were done that were well there. Obviously, Tony being in position to immediately isolate the Amumu once he was hooked. Very good job there. The other neat thing though is I want to point this out to any support players watching and compliment what Lemon did there. When you are in lane, it's very tempting to just...
on the Sandy Snake. Music X ends up ulting to get him away. That was actually kind of coming near with the death. Now Reform Bully has been caught by Sandy. The shield has come down, but he's just going to get completely one-shot. We have flashes all over the board, and ultimately Reform Bully's going to pay the price for a little too much aggression.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a whiff in terms of the actually landing the ult from Music, but he was able to get the aggression off of his mid laner. The vision plant caught out Sandy as he was recalling, but he was able to get to safety.
Well, what we just saw was Control goes in, he gets a ton of damage onto the Vygar, he pushes him out, and for some reason, Mr. Reform Bully says, you know what, that's the go button, it's time to go. He goes, and he goes a little too far.
And good patience on Vygar not completely retreating from the fight there, recognizing that just so long as he's out of danger, he still very much can contribute. What I was finishing up there, though, was for Nautilus players out there, in lane, it's very tempting to just throw your ult on the target of the gank, but oftentimes, as the ult is traveling, it knocks up everyone in the path, so a lot of times, like in that scenario, it's actually more fruitful to aim for the further away target, and then you get 2 knockups for the price of 1, so that was a good use of that there, where he fired it at Misfortune instead of the Amumu that had already been hooked. It's actually another thing that's going to be challenging later on. Nautilus ult is...
We have an ult coming through onto Rudy. Rudy gets completely one-shot on the invade over this blue buff. And Rudy's looking like a real sad mummy this game.
Yeah. No, the Amumu is very powerful in lane for the early aggression it can provide. But if it falls behind, it's not a very fun experience. You don't really have any sort of disengage. Nautilus at least can hook a wall to pull himself away. If you're caught out as a Mumu, you're just tanking it. And against the Trundle, you don't get to tank it for very long.
No, you really don't. And that was a quick pick. And unfortunately, they're going to be able to turn this into the Dragon. Notably, good call from crowd control. They're at least going to be able to, ideally, unless Sandy Snake does something crazy on this Vygar, we'll be able to turn this into at least some kind of counter inject.
Sandy should just let this one go. It's not worth the potential risk. Yeah.
Hook here. Lemon mid lane. AI box has to both cleanse and flash out. Does drop the ult. Rudy will stay in this, but Sandy is quite low. Rudy, once again, getting a little too far forward, and I think that he's getting a little frustrated, I think. And that's what we saw right there.
Ooh, Lemon got sort of nicked by the minion there and stopped a hook re-engage on AI box. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's one of the challenges when you play tank supports is that when you fall behind, your only real options are to use your engage. Well, it often feels like your only real function is to act as an engage. And a lot of the engages that should work suddenly don't. And it's incredibly frustrating. It looks like they dropped the Team Crowd Control dropped the Herald top to try to get a little bit of pressure. They got the top turret and then got a second rush off on the top inner. But
they
so
they were able to
some
create,
consolation there.
they were able to create a little crowd control. But I'm sitting here, or not crowd control. Oh my god, that name is in my head. A little bit of counterplay, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to see Jaws find a way to participate in one of these fights for something to go well, because otherwise, sending 5 people mid and having 2 people defend it and just getting hooked by Lemon over is not going to be a strategy to win this game.
No, absolutely. And Lemon has been like, I know I talk him up, but this has actually been a pretty good highlight reel for him. He's been playing this Nautilus very patiently, not taking risky hooks. It's kind of it's kind of a very Lemon take on the champion. I'm pretty impressed with it so far.
Well, I love it, and you've played with me before, and
Yep.
you know how annoying I can be about the concept of simple support play. But
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. No overcomplication. He hangs out with his ADC, he hugs it, and he just goes and he finds the right hooks. And all you have to do to win the game is find those right hooks. There's nothing more. There's no crazy roams. There's no, weird invades from vision.
This is what they call a subtweet, folks.
I wasn't saying that. Not necessarily. Oh, Reform Bully with another alt bot, and I don't know if the stream caught it, but yeah, Reform Bully, I think just another frustration alt bot. And they saw him come bot. You can't do that, and they're just going to start the Baron off of it.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be rough because there's nobody in position to try to interfere. Like, Control can walk over and try to lob stuff in, but he's warded out. That's incredibly risky. Yeah, no, he's not even gonna bother. Are they even aware of this?
No, they shouldn't be. There's no way they could have been. But yeah, Bully. I guess I just wonder, like, what was the alt bot intending to do?
I think that you were right. Yeah, I think that you were right. It was a frustration alt. He's trying to make something happen, and we've all been in those matches where it's like, oh, like we're losing. We can feel the game slipping away, and it's like we got to do something to crack it. And it's you start getting into this mindset where you start taking riskier and riskier plays, and sometimes they pay off. Sometimes you do get the shutdown that you really need and such, but other times you misunderstand that being patient and waiting for the right opportunity is not the same thing as doing nothing. And we see here that the desire to create some sort of tempo or some sort of motion is causing everything to kind of go wrong at this point.
Well, right. And the thing is you alt bot and you've got, Jaws on the Gnar there, and the thing is just by way of gold, he's so far behind. And so my question is like, how long is it going to take you to kill that Sejuani, who's literally a full item up? But, again, when you're in the moment and you're just trying to make something happen, I can understand where that type of thing comes from. Yeah. Ultimately, will not pay off for the team. And we've got a team about 7K ahead, a Baron ahead, and pushing in towards the base relatively soon.
Yeah, no, and the entire plan of the Team Lemonade is very, very patient. It's very methodical. They're making, to your point. Oh no, Rudy, no.
Yep.
Oh, he's gonna get out, but that's pretty rough. Like, you can't go wandering in your jungle by yourself at this point. There's nobody on his team anywhere near him. Like, that's...
I was taking a sip. Oh, Control almost getting hooked. Oh, Lemon gets a little far forward. There's actually going to be an ult here. The heal does come through.
Jeez, Lemon, no!
It was down. The ult comes through. Bully, this is the counter engage. Tony gets a little bit caught. Rudy is actually a little bit low. Decayed ultimately blocked. And they will just be able to get one. Good disengage here from Tony and his team, and ultimately they are going to get that turret top because that was just a 5v4.
Holy crap! This is going on for a little while there.
It is, and unfortunately they do have to stop the Sejuani who's top lane. They do send Gnar back. I don't know if that's got to be enough. We do have a TP coming from the top side. They do not see it right here. And Sandy Snake on the back has a huge TP. The ult comes down. Death's onto 2. That's going to be it. It's Speedy with all of the damage. A beautiful TP play coming around the backside from Sandy Snake, who's known from all of those. And I don't see how that is not the game. That's going to be the Soul. Gets all the damage down. And they're now pushing into the base to try and end this game.
Yeah, no, that was exactly the same thing. Methodical. They stick. This is something that you see also when you get into like higher elo, where people will be low, and instead of taking the obvious, like, okay, we're just gonna retreat and go back, they stick around because they see the potential for a play later on. Like Tony and Speedy are there, they're poking, they're making this slow, they're making this uncomfortable. Then Sandy recalls and teleports in now that they've whittled them down around the dragon fight or a dragon pit. Very, very patient play and understanding their limits and what they can get away with. That's scary. That's a very good performance.
Now, is there any ability whatsoever to make a comeback?
As it always is, it's basically on control because at this, well, I mean, I shouldn't even say that. Box has not been feeding. He has been like farming. He's actually farming better than Caitlyn. The problem is though, is that you would need basically a situation where you get a 5v5 fight and Rudy is able to lock down a large number of people. But the reality is that Team Lemonade is not really allowing for that. They properly recognize that music can be off on his own splitting. And with the Viger and Tony's pillar as disengaged, and Caitlyn's range, they know that they can stay very, very far back. And as Blood pointed out, the problem also is that it's 15-3 with an 11k gold gap. So there really just isn't anybody who Control and Box have the tools to do some damage, but this is a situation where they could just throw Team Lemonade could just throw their wallets, and even if they have slight misplays, it's not going to be enough. They need big misplays at this point to give crowd control a window back in.
Well, I'm going to say that it technically can happen, like we almost saw when Music was top by himself. Admittedly, that was a little bit scary. They did end up losing one. It only was a 1-for-0, and there was no real ability to kind of press the attack there.
Yeah.
But they are going to need to catch someone splitting and catch a really, really strong engage. And unless they can find that pick, and probably 5 more, frankly, this has to be a 1 game.
Yeah. I also wanted to call out another gap in the support, though. Look at the vision score difference. And I know that this is my... there's some controversy over how important vision score is. But we've seen time and time again, poor Rudy having to wander into a jungle that he definitely does not own anymore and get caught out because they see him coming, they set up something, and as a support player, especially a tank support player where you're melee range and you have to get really close to clear wards and such, this is suffocating work because I'm sure you've been in the solo queue games where it feels like your support has no vision on the board.
Oh, they're going to walk in and Control. The ult comes out, but actually Music's going to miss. Control does use Azania as a really, really good ult from AI Box right here. If there was a fight, this is going to be it. Rudy does get in. The ult's going to come through for the Pantheon, but unfortunately they're a little too far forward. The carries are
speedy.
Unfortunately, the front line and the back line are completely separated from each other. Jaws gets a pretty decent ult, but it's just way too late in the game. It's not going to matter. Ultimately, the team couldn't come together. They had their chance. They missed it, and this is going to mark the end of Game 1.
GG. That was exactly what I was saying earlier, though. It's like the sort of fights that you should be winning suddenly don't win when you're down this much gold. And that was an opportunity in theory for crowd control, or it would have been if the gap just hadn't been quite so large. Fantastic vision control, fantastic play from the Lemonade or Team Lemonade. 1-0.
Well, and unfortunately, they really they got the exact fight that would have been what they wanted. And unfortunately, again, as you said, they were just too far behind. Everything went good at the start of that fight. They got the front and the back line split. They were able to go after a couple of people. At the end of the day, it did not make the difference. And most notably here, Control, with by far the most damage in the game, unfortunately, again, he just didn't have enough to make it happen. For those that can't see,
It was a very good observation and understanding of the win conditions of each team, specifically by Team Lemonade, to recognize that what Team Crowd Control really wanted was a big wombo combo team fight. And until the very end, when it didn't matter, they never gave it to them. They never gave them the opportunity to actually use their comp as intended, and we saw the results. When a comp can't deliver on its intended goals, it doesn't matter how straightforward the comp is or how straightforward the goal is. If you can't do it, then that's just the game.
it just is what it is. All right, well, folks, we've had an awesome game 1. We had a lot of fun. Obviously, we saw who came out on top. Ultimately, Tony and his team looked fantastic coming out of this. And coming into game 2, we're going to be asking the question, can Control and Reform Bully and the rest of their squad put together something that looks a little bit more like a team so that we're going to game 3, or will this be a sweep for game 2? We are going to be break where we will be back in a couple minutes. See you soon. All right, folks, we are back after a wild game one where Tony and his team just absolutely came through and showed who was boss. We're going to be back, reformed Bully and Control, coming back after just a really unfortunate showing. But we know this is not them. We know they're really strong. And again, this is the first game of the season. This is to try out new things, kind of get a feeling of where you stand versus the other teams. And right now, we're about to see where they stand versus the other team, at least in the first week. I'm joined here once again with Spirit, joining for game two. Once again, Team Lemonade has taken game one. It is now 1-0, and we're going into the potential end of the series, or we might go to game three. Spirit, we're back. What's your thoughts for this game?
It's going to be very interesting because looking at the results from game one, you have Team Crowd Control taking a very straightforward, very simple to, in theory, simple to execute comp, very straightforward to execute comp, and it just really not working out. And one of the challenges there is that if the simple to execute comp isn't working, then do you really want to take a gamble on something that might be more complex or harder to execute, or do you just try to stick with it? Maybe focus more of your attention on tracking Tony and making sure that he doesn't get that early lead for music, or maybe being more aggressive in the bot lane or something like that. It's a tough one. If I had to guess, given the fact that, let's be honest, everyone makes playoffs, these matches are very much more about team synergy and bragging rights, getting experience under your belt before the real matches and playoffs. I could very easily see Bully's team just going with something completely different. Just say, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something completely different and see if it shakes them up.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with that. And I just have to say, like, again, on my comments on playing simple support, I think jungle is very much the same way, right? You go, you farm, you show up at the right times. And I can't help but think that team comp with something like a Jarvan, and I know the Jarvan with me is a bit of a meme, but you know, take a champion that has a little bit of that aggression but can play a late game team fighting role. Like, put that in there and you're fine. Why pick the Pantheon? It's not doing anything for you. And I think, unfortunately, Bully comes in and he's got a bit of the TJ syndrome. The difference is that TJ is a Diamond 2 player and Bully isn't. And I think it's this feeling of like, hey, I always have to pick damage. I always have to play aggression. I have to whatever. And I think that with how TCL goes, with these team comps, with a lot of tanks, if you aren't getting an early, really strong lead and getting kind of pressure in those tank lanes, then going and playing the really aggressive, like assassin type jungler isn't going to get you there. So that's what I'm left thinking is that if we get a better jungle pick in thus team composition from crowd control, I think this game actually does go back the other way.
Well, and the other interesting thing, just looking back at that game, is I'm not sure that the Pantheon was per se a bad pick, but it may have been a premature pick because when they end up taking, say, Viger for Sandy Snake, that's a really tough lane for the Pantheon to gank with the baby cage. And then as soon as they got Sejuani ahead, he can't really gank Sejuani into an 0-2, like if he has an 0-2 Gnar backing him up. That really makes the direction of the Pantheon a lot more predictable. And it caused a lot of challenges in the game because really you only had to make sure that the bot lane was safe and keeping itself sort of protected. Again, I keep memeing like everyone has those games. But there are certain games where you understand that your other lanes are winning or going even, that you outscale, and then when you realize that all you have to do is sort of stay safe and sort of coast to late game, like sometimes that's all you have to do. And if there's a bot lane that I think is very capable of recognizing that and making the cautious but measured aggression, I think it's the speedy lemon bot lane.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, like, again, you have to decide who you're playing through and you have to decide what you want that lane to go like. And so, you know, maybe if you're playing, like, Control plays Assassins, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing the Pantheon, then why don't we put Control on some kind of Assassins? He plays them all, and yeah, there's not ones that he's going to show up on every time. But, like, let's put a plan together, and I think what you get into in TCL is people just kind of pick the champions that you're used to picking, and you end up with this weird smorgasbord comp where you don't really understand what any of them are supposed to do. And again, if the two of them would just work together and be a team together, they go and they can ultimately win this. It's like, yeah, Tony by rank is a little bit better, but again, Control's a great mid laner. As long as you put in the right crowd control, show up, get Control ahead, bring the lane bot lane. AI Box can do his job as long as it's in a middle state. And eventually, if Jaws hasn't been ganked 10 times over, he's going to TP into the fights. And you've got a game, baby. That's how you have to play it. And it's that freaking simple. And that's what I want to see from them.
Wow, and the first pick Nautilus. Not too much change from picking bans here. Interesting. Okay, yeah, they kept the Morgana ban, they kept the Mordekaiser ban. They did swap out their third ban for Trundle. So obviously they did not like what they were seeing Tony do with that pick. I love the immediate Rakan, a true comfort pick for Rudy. One of probably his most famous or notable one from last season. Into the Nautilus, though, that's going to be interesting because even though Rakan is an engaged support, he's not actually tanky. And that's what I think a lot of people who just see Rakan played and haven't actually tried him don't realize. Like,
oh, the Tristana. I think that's for Speedy, but I do have my
see, it's funny. I think that's
questions.
for Sandy. I'm pretty sure that he's played it a few times with them in practice. So, but the thing is, we don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
If this dude steals my pick, if this dude steals my pick, I'm gonna be pretty pissed off. Let me just say that. Yeah, he has actually played a couple games out. He played a flex game with it 7 days ago, and he played pretty well.
Listen, Bird. Listen, Bard is always the pick. I see you in there, and I just want you to know you are 100% right. That said, Jin Zhao almost certainly for Tony, unless Music's been picking up some carries I don't know about.
Yeah, no, that's a Tony.
And frankly speaking, that's a scary Tony.
The day that Tony lets Music go Shin Zhao top is a day that hell freezes over. It's not going to happen.
Oh, I see. They left up the Maokai this time so that they could take it themselves. Interesting.
I'm a big fan of that. That champion is absolutely broken. And like whatever we do, we need to get Jaws on something where he can participate in the fights, because he didn't participate in, I believe, literally anything until the very end of the game. And he came in and he got a 3-man ult, right? I mean, he knows how to do it. And unfortunately, the way his lane state went, he had to sit there and they had decided to keep him top lane. He spawned the Herald and he created pressure. It's just in this type of team comp, if you're not bringing your top laner to the fight, the rest of the team's not going to be able to do anything, even if they're creating a little bit of pressure elsewhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be kind of interesting then. This gives Jaws a more higher priority pick. AI box on Xayah. He's very competent and comfortable on the champion. It's in theory a safe lane, especially when you get to level 6. And it's a decent counter to the Nautilus, or at least the Xayah is a decent counter to the Nautilus, because Xayah is one of the few champions who can just drop the Nautilus ult if need be. So good thing there. We're seeing some bans for Music though come out. The Ornn and the Sejuani are off the board. This is narrowing down the number of if they are going to keep Music on tanks, this is narrowing down the options there. Meanwhile, these new bans on Team Lemonade, one for Control, one for Bully. So taking Graves and Ahri off, and having played against it, Control's Ahri is pretty effective, so definitely makes sense there. And it'll keep him off a lot of the more traditional roaming champions.
Yeah, it will, and I would love. Interesting. That's going to be a Poppy from Reform Bully. So I like the concept, and I think that's, at the end of the day, what I was looking for is you either needed both of them to pick something really aggressive or both of them to pick something a little more passive. The only thing I'm going to be concerned about is that the only aggression you're going to see here is out of the bot lane, and the least I'll say is they weren't able to actually create gank opportunities in that game. They were always a little bit pushed ups, like when they just never timed it right. So I don't know. This comp is looking particularly passive from crowd control, and I think that Tony's going to take advantage of it. But we'll see when we see the last pick.
Yeah, and it's they're going to need a very, very strong hyper carry from Control to balance this out, because not to say AI box can't dish out a lot of damage, but trying to chew through a Mundo with just Zaya, or a Mundo and a Jin Zhao jumping on you with Nautilus throwing ults and such. It's a rough. That would be a very tall order to throw at him. We're also seeing the
No,
repeat of the.
no, he won't do it. No way he locks that. Yes. Okay, I absolutely hate that that's with the Poppy, but I don't care. I'm so happy Control is deciding to play aggressive and actually take into this lane, especially into Vigar. I will say you do run into a couple issues like Zed, Fizz, those assassins play really well because they can actually hop over the cage. Akali has nothing to hop over the cage, so if you get caught in the cage, you're
You
kind of
just
stuck
die.
there. Well, it depends. I mean, if you're caught in the cage, ideally you drop your shroud, and at least we've got a game. Um, I am excited. Again, I wish that we saw something. I know the Nocturne's up. It's really strong this patch. The nerf doesn't come through until I believe tomorrow. Um, I'm sitting here wondering why that wasn't the pick, but again, we'll
You
see.
mean
And
for
I'm just
Bully,
happy.
or?
Yeah, for Bully as opposed to.
I
Fizz.
think that he is looking at it purely from a jungle matchup. I believe that Poppy is strong into Xin Zhao specifically because you can nullify the dot his jump. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that may have been a little bit myopic. It also gets rid of the Tristana, which, as you correctly predicted, did go to Speedy, not to Sandy. Um, but I'll be honest. I'm obviously Control is very mechanically talented, so all of this comes with a bit of a grain of salt. But he has a lot of CC he has to deal with here. He has the ult from Jin Zhao. He has the cage. He has the knockback from Tristana. He has the risk of Nautilus either hooking, autoing, or ulting him. Like there's a lot of stuff that can follow Control around these fights and keep him locked down. And there's not a lot of damage outside of him unless AI Boxes gets pretty far ahead. They're relying a lot on box and Control as with the last game, getting really far ahead on champs that aren't really, they aren't traditionally the big hyper carries. I mean,
No,
Zaya's fine, but
I agree. By the way, we are joined here by Mr. IREP My ADC. First of all, congratulations on the win yesterday. Great game. We're 1-0.
Yes, sir.
Second of all, we've got two team comps in front of you. We've got a 1-0 series. Talk to me about your opinions on the draft and what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Well, you definitely have a safe bot lane from crowd control, which is what you need, but I just don't know if they have the tools to deal with the Vagar. Like they really, nothing is really like threatening the Vagar, and I think the Vagar is probably just going to run away with it. I also think the Mundo is going to be great into the Poppy and the Maokai, and the Maokai. I think he can just face tank them both, but we'll see.
We will see. And who are you ultimately betting for? If you were a betting man, which I'm sure you are.
I'm probably going to put my money on Lemonade again.
Put your money on Lemonade. I would say probably the same. I think that Control has a lot in front of him. And unfortunately, again, if you're going to pick this assassin mid, kill one person, you need AI box to do all the damage or nothing's going to happen. And ultimately, the late game, Bully just won't be able to pump it out. So I will take the same as you. In Spirit, what's your prediction?
So as you know, I put out some predictions at the start of the week. I guess 2-0 on our series, I guess 2-0 on your series, and I guess 2-1 on this series. So I think that Lemonade probably wins this. I really wanted to get 100% accuracy here, so I put my money on crowd control. That said, they're going to need a much more impressive run this time than last if they're going to do it. My heart says Lemonade. My ego says crowd control. In other words.
Well, yeah, I think your heart says crowd control and your brain says Lemonade.
Oh, no, remember, my heart's also with Lemon though, so my heart and brain are saying Lemonade. It's purely an ego thing that I put my points on crowd control.
Yeah, no one in this chat would ever accuse you of not loving your brother. That is for sure. That is known.
Hyping up the brother that's a little different.
What's that?
It's the hyping up the brother that's not guaranteed.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. Did I miss He did it. Oh, missed the anti-flash. IREP goes back in. Chase says, "Did I miss the prediction?" I thought he meant the stream predictions. I'm like, what are you smoking? Because I'm pretty sure you were a part of it. We are loading into game, and we are going to see what this turns out to be. Once again, the wind condition. Oh, okay. So I will say I do have to fall a little bit back on my flame here. Reform Bully has the Dark Harvest on the Poppy, which means he will be building AD, at least whatever the item's called.
Or no,
Sheen.
yeah. Blanking here.
Yes, it's like the one that kills the tanks and heals.
Yeah. We know what you're talking about.
Sunderhammer. Thank you. Yeah, Divine Sunder. That is my expectation here. We will see what ultimately happens, and we do have an interesting invade look here from Tony and Team Lemonade. They're going to be coming up. Poor Jaws. This poor guy. This is his first competitive game in years.
You gotta stand further down.
Come on, man. Don't do it to him. Don't do it. Come on. They're going to do it to him. He's going to get caught. The Mundo Q does not come through, but the Nautilus dredge line ultimately will take it. And Music X will start with the first blood.
Oh my gosh, that's really cruel. Yeah, you got to step down out of that bush to see around there, especially if you get like right when you initially get there, so you can spot the people coming in. I do want to note though, very smart by Tony. He took sweeper level 1 specifically so that he could check the bush as they walked up to it. I don't know if you noticed that because of where Jaws was standing right up against the wall, they could actually spot him, and then right when they turned the corner, it was all curtains. Additionally, they just started with the Nautilus auto attack as opposed to the dredge line, so in case he did flash, they had that as well. That was pretty rough.
And I'll tell you, my base thing is I hang out outside of that bush because I never want to get caught in that kind of cheese, and it's so easy if you just kind of go on autopilot and sit in the bush to get caught there. One of the best things to sit outside the bush, like in the river, pretty much.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You're not going to lose anything from that.
Yeah, we're off to our first start. Off to our start though, and what on earth is Poppy? Just a bit of a slower jungler, or I'm not familiar with how this works, but it seems like Jhin got to a second camp much faster.
No, I think she's actually going to clear it before. Yeah, she's going to clear second camp before he does. Okay, no, that's not true.
I'm just looking off of the. I'm just looking.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm trolling. I'm like so zoomed out on my view that I thought the two other ones, but no, I mean, I think it's more
through his spectacles.
Yeah, I mean, she's what 5 seconds behind. I don't know. It's a Poppy. What do you expect? Shin Zhao's it's kind of what he does.
I found that a little surprising though. I figured that I guess they both have AoE though.
Yeah, they do. And when Waj points out in the chat that they actually did intentionally nerf Poppy's clear speed. Anyone who's been watching pro, understands why that champion has been pro meta for a really long time and is high priority in all these drafts.
No, it looks also though as though Lemon and Speedy were again able to get the level 2 priority. Very, very good. Always want to be prioritizing that if it's an option, and Tristana definitely has that the early lead on Xayah in that regard.
I just realized IREP was actually still in our production call. He could have dropped some rogue something on us, but he chose to be a good person and he didn't. Unfortunately, I am not a good person, and he has officially been booted from the call.
Abarn giving the eviction notices.
That's right. Abarn eviction. So poor Jaws up here. Interestingly, one of the things that I don't typically see on Maokai is that Doran shield, unless you absolutely need it from some kind of range matchup. The problem is the champ, especially if you're not taking biscuits, which at least I'm not seeing any biscuits in his inventory. We'll see here in 8 seconds. He's just low on matchup, and he's going to lose all priority pretty much for, at least for the short term of this lane.
Yeah, another interesting quirk here, and this makes it.
He does have biscuits.
Yeah, this is all the more cruel. But Viger started Dark Seal, so that level 1 invade actually had relevance to him.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Gate coming down, Control a little caught up. He does not have the Shroud. He's not able... Okay, the Shroud does finally come off cooldown just in time. Tony does take a turret shot. A Reform Bully coming back on the other side. The Flash does come through. The Ignite, one more Q is going to take it. Control, first blood on the 1v2 versus Tony. Not even an assist from Reform Bully. A beautiful play to bring them back in game 2.
Rough of Bully to burn his Flash there, but that was very impressive work by Control. This is why I hate playing against Akali's. Just a very sneaky champion, very good at dodging out on this sort of stuff.
Well, the great hook
this
from
could be
Lemon,
bad.
finding him in the middle of the lane. Fantastic hook from Lemon, just completely minding the gap between those minions.
Yeah, and this
You're
is
right. Hey, I'll give you the credit. He is looking good.
Yeah, and like this is exactly what I was mentioning though about Rakan. It's very easy because like we're used to. There are these little like mental tricks that we play on ourselves where if we see a champion behave a certain way, we start to assume like, oh, this is the way they're supposed to. This is the way that they are. Like, oh,
This gank ain't gonna work.
he's getting the push in.
Well, yeah, Bully calls for the gank, walks up, and then takes 3 of Jaws' minions. Yeah, that's pretty BM, but that's about exactly what I would have expected from Bully. Unfortunately, that's just gonna keep Jaws even farther behind in this lane.
Yeah, and it looks like Tony is bounced back here. He's gone and he's already going for the dragon. It looks like we're there's not going to be much of a contest there. Control is wandering around a bit, but I mean, there's only like moderate amounts of vision in here. He's not going to be able to go in, especially with his bot lane retreating.
No, that's correct. And they will end up taking the dragon here for TLA. Good job for them understanding that the jungler was gone. There was no way to stop it. And we are up 1-0 on dragons.
Indeed. I believe they'll have gotten every dragon so far this series. Very strong control by them in game 1, and that's continuing into game 2. Those early dragons are also really important just because it's one thing to let a few dragons go, but as soon as like if you don't get something early to delay that third dragon spike or that third dragon force,
We're looking for a gank bot lane. He is going to be coming in. Speedy sees it coming and ultimately uses his rocket jump away.
Yep. Similar to last game, the big bright spot at the moment is with Control in the mid lane. Well, he's about tied in farm, but he does have that solo kill, and like looking around the rest of the map, Music has a 20 CS lead, and everywhere else is pretty even. The gold is a little bit in Team Lemonade's favor, but nothing too ridiculous thus far.
Well, we do have a potential gank opportunity. Rudy walking up directly into Tony, gets a ward down. I think Tony's just going to go on it. Lemon, ultimately, great dredge line, and that is going to have to be flashed by AI Box to stay alive.
Yep. Good play down bot. What I was trying to say, and I keep losing my train of thought before I can finish. Like I was saying in the loading screen, though, Rakan is not a tank, even though he behaves a lot like one in terms of diving into the enemy team and such. It's deceptive, but he actually is very squishy, and if Lemon ever actually lands a hook on him, it will hurt.
Well, and we saw that a little while ago when he kind of pulled him in the middle of the minions. It's true, and hopefully Rudy can use those mechanics. He has looked good on that champion, but we'll see. Oh, Speedy Bandito, a great hook from Lemon. Speedy goes and uses the rocket jump in, double rocket jump. He's got the ignite onto AI Box. Unfortunately, Tony was not able to meet there in time. The lockdown didn't happen, and they are going to get away.
Yep. We also see a little bit of an experience gap, at least for right now in the mid lane. Control up a level on Sandy.
Oh, this is gonna be a dive. Rudy goes, he uses the ult, he's got a W in, and he's got Speedy in the back line. He is now ignited. Is he gonna be able to get the 1v1? Speedy Bandito with the huge play. He's gonna bunker him out. Ultimately, though, gonna find the 1-for-1 trade. Tony will flash in, get the remaining kill on AI Box, and that will be a 1-for-2 in the favor of TLA.
Dang, AI Box just can't like buy a kill, I swear. Last game and now this one too.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm questioning why Rudy. Ultimately, Rudy uses the quickness and he dives in. Oh, well, it doesn't matter right now. Reform Bully decides he wants this fight on the Music X, but or musical
I don't know
jaws is
about
too
that
far
one,
away.
Bully.
Yeah, and music is just beating him up, and the flash is going to come through. He is going to be able to CC him. Control is now a part of this fight. He has to get one little part of CC. The ult comes through. A beautiful shuriken flip from Control, and he has to be able to get this final ult onto it. The damage is there. The ignite is there, but ultimately music is just going to heal out of it.
Yep, not to be this time. Control is still hanging around, but Viger is back in lane and pushing, and the show must go on.
Yeah, unfortunately, that feels really bad if you're Control coming up, looking for that kill, abandoning mid lane, just to find absolutely nothing with it. Yeah, I don't know. Bully took a fight he definitely shouldn't have. He's 2 levels down on a Mundo, but guess everyone's going to get away.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it looks like Music's about to get back a little bit of CS here, but as he catches the wave, but he's still up quite a ways on Maokai. He still has that first blood gold. He's a tanky boy. A lot of components sitting in that inventory too.
He is, and by the way, Control right here, especially after he got the kill, winning this lane up about 500 gold, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge. Your ability to actually be winning in farm against a Control mage. And obviously Viger doesn't really present like many Control mages, but Control is going to be strong, and they are going to be playing this game.
Yeah, Bully is building a lot of damage on this particular iteration of Poppy, but that means that he's
they're looking
again very squishy.
They're looking for this. They're going to be going in on it.
Oh, boy,
Rudy goes
Tony,
for the
that's
counter
strong.
engage. They do get the root from the Zaya here, but right now the Poppy is being caught in on. Rudy's trying to best appeal for everybody in Control. Ultimately will be able to find that kill. Will they keep going for it? The shuriken flip misses, or I should say the initial shuriken, and they're going to take the 1-for-0, and they're going to walk away.
Yep. If I would suggest that they go in on Dragon here. They clearly have all of their important. Well, they don't have all their important ults up, but Box still has his ult. Control still has their ult. This is not contestable at this point, I don't think.
No, it's not. Looks like, yeah, Bully's just going to be able to throw the Tristana away, who does try to rocket jump back, but it's not going to mean anything. Control notably is caught in the middle of the Vigar baby cage, but that's what I'm saying. Control can just throw down the shroud, and no one can really do anything while he's in the middle of it.
Yep, and critically, Control picked up the extra kill in the 1 kill in that fight. He's doing what he needs to, and Tony is having. Unlike last game, he's having a little bit more trouble getting those that early pressure to pay off, which, especially given that he's playing on Jhin, is not ideal.
Well, and again, everyone here knows Control's a great player. He does have his ons and offs. I will say, though, it was pretty disrespectful of Tony just to walk into the lane 1 versus 2, expect things to happen, and Control just goes and styles on him, and now Control is in a place to actually carry this game that he otherwise wouldn't have needed to have been in.
Yeah,
Tony does get the Herald right here. Control wants blood. He's going to go over this wall, and I think he's going to try to actually find Tony because he knows he's going to be going on this camp here. Bully's here. Control's here. Control wants it. I don't think they're going to... Yeah, there's really nothing to do with that. They take the Hex Gates out. You'll love to see it.
they are not Hex noobs, as they would say.
I remember when the Hex Gates first came out, I could not convince myself they exist. And the amount of times that I just like blatantly walked by the Hex Gates and then didn't use them just to go to the place where it ended was absolutely cool.
This is us showing our age off in the chat.
Ooh. Yeah, see, here's what I'm looking for. Control in the mid lane. He's able to get the shuriken flip. The problem is if Sandy places the cage between him and the Akali, it doesn't work. But Lemon gets the dredge line in the bot lane. I forgot that Rakan can just jump away whenever he wants.
Yep. Not once again, not to be. But he does every time he has to jump back. He has taken a huge chunk, and you can only afford that so many times.
I will say, Sandy is, whether for one reason or another, Control is getting to a point where he's starting to actually respect Sandy. All of those Q hits, if he walks into the wrong one, is starting to do a little bit of damage. Control not posturing in lane the same way as he was, and as a result, he's actually down on farm once again.
Yep. I mean, he did get his Merc treads though. He's still got 2 kills on him, so I would imagine he still has more gold than Sandy. But oop, another hook. anything. They're just no luck there. No luck.
I was muted once again. My apologies, everyone. Yeah, you can always tell when that happens. AI box with the great feather pullback, and he actually roots all 3 of them, I believe. And
Yeah.
ultimately, he's going to save his support.
The
Great,
funny
great
thing
team
is,
play.
the funny thing is that with quickness,
we're getting a dive right here. Tony is in. The Herald's been spawned. He does get kicked out, but Lemon's right there. Lemon's actually a little far ahead of his team. Speedy is trying his hardest to actually get these minions take down, but yeah, the dive will not work because the timing just didn't match up between everybody. Good ult away from Bully as well.
when you play Nautilus, there's some hooks that you actually hope don't land. That was definitely one of them.
Yeah, 100%. Is a very fair analysis on that. It's a keeper's verdict. That's what I was looking for.
Yep.
Sometimes the names of these, it's so hard to remember.
Yeah, and here's the interesting bit. Poppy is actually up almost 20 CS on Jhin. Maybe a consequence of his deaths, maybe just better pathing, but
Well,
early on we said that the Poppy was a lot more fragile, not as we saw Mundo kind of beating the crap out of her. I would venture a guess that as soon as she gets Divine Sunder, she's going to start building some tank stats, and that will not be the case anymore. And Poppy, frankly speaking, will outscale this. Will normally outscale a Jhin quite a bit, unless the Jhin gets ahead early.
by a significant margin. Bully was looking like he wanted the gank, but I can tell there's whether it's a lack of trust, a lack of confidence, whatever. He didn't want to go on it right here. Yeah, I don't know. I think that you do have a chance to kill the Mundo. Obviously, you're not sitting here with a whole lot of heal cut, but if you're going to do something, now's the time.
Yeah, but I mean, without Ignite though, and Mundo having ult and passive up, like unless you can find a way to crack the passive, I don't think it's. I think that it's a very ambitious play. Plus, it's not like they have a ton of damage. Now he has Sunder, maybe that changes things, but.
Well, at this point, he's got a head bot, and they've got to prepare for this dragon here. We're obviously seeing that TLA has all of the priority on this, or at least should, although I will say they're kind of just giving up on this.
I actually think that that's the right play there. Viger is not at his strongest yet, and I think that there's a lot of potential for you to throw over this dragon, and they definitely don't need it. Is the thing. That's the power of getting that first early dragon, is that you can afford to give up second and third dragon. Then maybe not all of them, and maybe you don't have to, but.
Well,
you have that.
I guess the question I'm left with, right here, Reform Bully, able to find the heroic charge onto Tony, caught a little bit forward, and ultimately the quickness comes through and the charm, and everyone's just a little bit caught out right there. Oh my god.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. They are at a much stronger point in the game for themselves. And that was a misplay by Tony. He was out a little too far without.
Sandy finds in the bot lane a beautiful cage. He was hidden in the veil of the grass. Ultimately wasn't seen. Gets the damage down. But now Control wants something. The cage cooldown is down. Is he going to go for it? It looks like he wants it. Unfortunately, the Viger just a tiny bit too tanky with the stats from the Everfrost.
Yep. And without his ult, I don't think that Control had as much of the kill pressure there.
Oh, that is very fair. That is a great comeback kill from Sandy, finding at least a little bit of something from that right there. I guess the thing I'm left with is you've got the Shinzao, well, I guess, I don't know. You've got a Tristana who scales really nicely. You've got a Viger. I guess you really don't have to push everything in this game.
Yeah, and the Mundo also, frankly. Mundo is very, very tough to deal with late game, especially when he's ahead like this. He's got a lot of money. He has the most farm in the game.
Well, I'm ultimately just hoping that I'm getting to see these top laners actually be a part of the fight for 25, 30 minutes in the game.
Hey, we're almost at 20 minutes. I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Well, Jaws is here. Control does get caught in the baby cage. Not going to mean anything. Musical Jaws coming around the side. Unfortunately, he's a little low. He's just going to run the ult. Control is in. Has used that ult, and he's going to look for the perfect execution. But there was no damage. They just run away, and I'm going to hope right here that you can take a Herald with it. But if not, that's a lot of abilities for nothing.
They already stole the Herald.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh. I thought they were still up when they started chasing them.
Yep. See, producer, is there any chance we can get a Viger stat count? I'm curious just how 277 AP, 122. A-Barn grades.
Yeah, I mean that's reasonable. He's got the most farm in the game right now.
He's stuck ahead of music.
Yeah, he's got plenty of AP. He has almost 300 at just one single item, pretty much. Again, that AP is going to have to look like 800 or 900 though for him to do what he wants to towards the end of this game.
Yeah. In general, like, do you have good breakpoints per se? Oh, Lemon, run!
Oh, Lemon getting gone on. There's not going to be enough juice in the tank here for it. No, I wouldn't say specific breakpoints. I know that you want around 200 to 250 once you get towards like the end of the middle game into some of those late game team fights. Oh, Rudy going in with the quickness, going to go. The Charmy is going to hit. Sandy Snake with the beautiful buy. Oh my gosh, Lemon gets Poppy right there. Great counterplay by Lemon in a fantastic buy and use of the stopwatch here from Sandy Snake. Getting a little over their skis, and they are gonna pay for it. Great play by Lemon. Turn that play around.
Always gonna hear about that one from me after this game.
Well, and again, everyone knows Lemon. We've been talking about this since the beginning of the series. Everyone knew him in the past as this player who's just the kind of walk around and play the enchanters and just sit under people. But again, he's a player who has the mechanics. He doesn't always know exactly what he wants to do. Put him with a few good players. Put him on something with a go button. And he's actually a fantastic player. Oh, man, we just missed a solo kill in the bot lane. Let's see if I can watch. All right, I have rewound. Control's hidden in the bot. Control has hidden himself in the grass right there. Oh, and he hits a beautiful shuriken flip as he's getting hit away with the Tristana R. Fantastic play from Control.
Oh, no. Run, music, run.
Yep, music almost gets caught out. They ultimately don't want to go on him. We're back to live. Fantastic play by Control in the bot lane, who's really trying to keep this alive. I will note, this man is 5-0. Oh, he did kind of, yeah. Sorry, Sword. I was giving you crap because I looked at the very end and I thought you went away.
No, we were busy blabbering about Lemon. I'm a distraction.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm watching from my own in-game spectate here. So we were blabbering about Lemon, and then suddenly I saw a kill, and I assumed that I didn't see it. Sword didn't see it. That's the kind of teammate I am. Apologize, Sword. In front of everybody in TCL, maybe you right now, baby.
All right, so these like the big thing is that Control's been able to pick up a lot of these kills. We haven't actually seen them. We had that one team fight, that one broken team fight in the river, and it looks like they're lining up for Dragon again. This time, I believe they have Mundo with them, so that may end up making a difference. But
well, they do, and I'm sitting here watching. So Jaws does have TP, and at least that's good. I would like to see him show up to some of these fights earlier. Funny enough, right here, and we're watching TLA play like they're from behind, but actually what they probably don't know in game right now, just because they're looking at such a strong control, they're actually up in gold. Oh my god, and Sandy hits an absolutely huge stun. Rudy ultimately is going to go out. Thankful for the Merc treads right here. The re-engage is going to come. AI Box is just fitting all the damage into the Mundo. Mundo does not have any ability to get away from this, except for the regen. The damage isn't enough to come through. Bully ultimately going to get caught by the Nautilus. And now Rudy, and now AI Box and Speedy's just going to jump and jump and jump, and he's back in. Control isn't able to do anything. The ult comes out to be nothing. A fantastic counter engage from TLA right there. I guess Box just didn't have enough juice to pump the damage into Mundo, and they're going to suffer for it.
Yeah, no, we can check. I don't think anybody has heal cut yet. It looks like Rudy ignited him, so that they may have figured that was enough. But ooh, it was a very, very good patient play there. Mundo Oh, you know what it actually is? I just realized Mundo has Anathema's chains. Do we have any idea who that's tied to?
It's on the Akali. That's the weird thing. Yeah, so I'm looking at it right now. It's on the Akali. If that was on the Zaya, then hey, I'd be sitting here being like, yep, great play. But weirdly he put it on the Akali. I guess he just looked at that and said, you know what? I ain't scared of AI Box. He's 0 kills. He does no damage. I don't give a darn. And that's the bet he took, and it ended up working out in fantastic counter gauge. Once again, Speedy Bandito.
No.
Speedy, what happened there, buddy?
I think he saw the Poppy W and he didn't want to risk the jump, but he had flash. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the vision right now. He saw the whole thing. You know what? I think he misclicked. That must have been a misclick. Yep, and unfortunately, this is looking like it is going to turn for a Baron for for Control's team right here. The blue team is coming back in, and the baby cage has been gone on. Right here, Rudy is in, as is tradition. Ultimately, they're going to get the Baron. Music X is caught in the middle of it a little bit. And right now, the musical Jaws has gone and actually put the ult onto them. And this is going to be life back into the Control's team. Sandy flashes in, and he drops the ult onto Rudy, and at least they're going to get a kill for it.
Yeah, no, that was very decisive play, picking Speedy and then immediately recognizing that Baron was on the menu. Good work there. The small compensation. They're going to try to push, I think, before they can get minions in. Lemon.
Well, the thing is, the problem with the Akali is you pretty much have to position for these fights around via the flank. The problem is when you're just diving into like a baby cage, you know, a Nautilus who, by the way, is hitting all of his hooks this game, a big beefy Mundo, and then a Xin Zhao that has a little bit of point and click CC. It's hard for you to go assassinate the people you actually have to hit.
You need to be back there. You don't defend this.
Yeah, I gotta say, Crowd Control in an interesting position. They handily lost that dragon fight. AI Box just was not able to do damage, and the big unfortunate thing is they really only have one real damage threat and then an assassin. If AI Box isn't pumping it out, that's all they got. But ultimately, they make the great team play off of the pick onto Speedy. Once again, could have been a misclick. Doesn't really matter. They take the Baron, and this is a game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the games yesterday, though, where both mid laners are not both mid laners, sorry. One of the members of each team is incredibly fed, and it's sort of a contest to see who can consistently carry harder from a lead. You got Sandy, who's 4-0, lots of CS. He's got full stacks on his Dark Seal. He has his Zarya. He's almost got his Void Staff.
Knowing Sandy, I would have really liked for him to go for the full Medjai's. He is the man. You know that he's not going to die. He's one of those safe players, and he knows how to play around these assassins. But he didn't do it, and I wish he would have.
Yep. Now they're positioning up a little bit. Oh no, Tony! I don't know about this one.
Tony gets a little bit caught. Control with a lot of damage onto this, and the full engage. They're just sending everything after it. AI Box, the musical Jaws, a little bit late on the TP, but he's getting there. Jaws with the flash and the beautiful twisted advance onto the play, and ultimately they're going to be able to press the attack on this one. A fantastic play, great damage for Control, and ultimately the musical Jaws with a great engage to actually get the lead on this team fight.
It's always, I'm not gonna lie, it's always hilarious when I see a Maokai W, somebody who's flashing, and they just like woo, fly away at high speeds. Lemon got to play taxi for the day.
He did. He absolutely did. See.
Yeah, so it ends up being a 1-for-1, and all things considered, they don't end up getting a turret, and I think that actually works out a little bit in Lemonade's favor because they are taking another what do you call it, Baron off the board. But yeah, it's good, pretty even fight all around. It's definitely not the decisive lead that we saw last time.
No, it absolutely wasn't. In Control and Squad, Bully picking up just one little camp before he heads his way over. Oh, Control right here getting caught. Control is caught. He is in the shroud. He does have to burn some very, very key cooldowns right here. Rudy in as always. Jaws in the middle as always. AI Box trying to pump the damage as always, but Jaws goes down. All of the damage onto both of them. Rudy is doing his best to try to stay in the middle of this fight. A beautiful, beautiful hit out from Reform Bully, who has saved this team fight with the Poppy. A fantastic play. The re-engage from Rudy. AI Box is running him down. Reform Bully has saved the team fight and potentially the game with one of the most beautiful Poppy ults I have ever seen. And Speedy might even go down too. AI Box is going after it. Ultimately will not be able to find it. A fantastic, fantastic play from Crowd Control.
That fight looked to be falling apart for Crowd Control. The early pick on to Control, he died fairly early on in the fight, giving over that shutdown, but in the end, that was as you pointed out, an incredible Poppy ult, knocking away 2 key members, and the entire thing just sort of crumbled from there. And,
by the way,
yeah.
I'm loving the double top lane anathemas, and we got to see who's the anathemas on. I'm assuming it's on Speedy, or it looks like it was just bought. Yeah, I think it was just bought, so he's still yet to actually put it on someone. So we will check back once Jaws makes his decision. We will know.
I will say, like, my ego is starting to make me smile a little bit. I think I may have been onto something.
It may be, and we might be taking this to the potential best of 3 Silver Scrapes. I don't know if we're technically supposed to play Silver Scrapes and best of 3s, but we all love hearing that song, so we do it anyway.
Yeah, and I think that this game has been very interesting, just because there's a lot of notable reversals from the prior game. Last game was all about Tony's early pressure, suffocating out Bully's ability to play the game. This game has been quite the opposite. Like, I would say that Bully has had a lot more of the sort of the highlight reel plays, particularly that ult in the last fight. Whereas I feel as though like Tony just hasn't really been he's doing what he can with like his the situation he's found himself in, but it's definitely not.
Jaws way too far forward, no vision on any of it. Bully's going to try to save him, but it's not going to matter. Hopefully that only turns into 1. They're going to go and try to go for the re-engage. Tony's a little bit caught up right now, and Bully wants to find a little bit something onto it. Rudy is in with the quickness, but ultimately not going to be able to find the CC onto this. And this fight is a little bit cursed. Control is going in. He wants to find Tony. He will be able to find 1. Can he find 2? He's going to go over the wall. He wants to find, Sandy Snake. He actually goes for Sandy instead of Tristana. Tristana's going to stay alive right here, and Sandy ultimately going to be able to find himself alive in the rest of this fight. Control wants something. Speedy wants
Sandy's
something.
off on an adventure.
Sandy's off on an adventure on the right side. We've got Control on the left side. Ultimately, Control, I think he needed to blindly go for that wall. He finds Speedy! A beautiful play with the invisibility. He is still, the shield goes on to him. Control with one of the biggest plays we've seen so far this game. Ends up staying alive through the whole thing and finds 2 more kills. Control with the absolute monster play, built different.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, the same thing that we were saying last game about how like good players recognize when they can still afford to stay in and make something happen. That was Control of that fight, recognizing that like he could still make something out of nothing there, and if he just delayed, played it properly, and that was chef's kiss right there. All right, so we're getting all organized around Baron. They were not able to move on it, so it looks like they are going to have the opportunity to sweep out this vision, get Control back around the pit. It's very much a head scratcher though if you're team Lemonade though. We're also seeing a situation that I am uncomfortably familiar with as a support. The mine is normally due to roaming. Lemon is starting to fall behind in EXP. He's only level 11 to 13 on Rudy, and definitely we'll start to see that because levels are a lot of are a lot more than just your skills. They're also stats, and when you're a support, you rely a lot on your base stats to keep you topped off and such. And
dude, by the way, the biggest concerning thing, I have not actually seen Jaws use his anathemas. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So right now the push is happening from the blue team right here. TLA is going for this middle inhibitor, and they will be trading the Baron for it. The question is will the backs come in time? They might be trying to push a little bit farther on this. They're going for the end of the game. The backs are coming through. It is going to happen in time. Yeah, they're just going to have to get out of there. Yeah, unfortunately, Jaws, and again, he's a league boomer. He'll tell you himself, he bought the anathemas. He doesn't realize that he has to actually use it on someone. And so right now, Jaws is at anathemas. Yeah, he's had anathemas for the last, like, I would say at least 5 minutes, and he hasn't actually used it on everybody. And no one on his team has caught it. What's that?
He was waiting for a fight to decide. I don't know.
I think he knows who he wants to anathemas it, because at the end of the day, if you're playing the tank, the person who's going to be pumping the damage into you, that's going to be the Tristana. That's who you have to use it on. And yeah, Blood has been teaching the man a lot. Unfortunately, he has not taught him how to press the key on the anathemas. And
be real, do you think Blood has ever bought anathemas in his life?
But yeah, I've seen him play it on his Mundo.
Fair enough. I was trying to make a blood doesn't play tanks joke, but it's expired. It's not.
Blood chat says, well, I haven't told him that item existed. This, by the way, is Soul Point. This up, and this is gonna be Soul. Yeah, they're just gonna get the uncontested Soul, and I will say, with that Soul, it's gonna be hard to see, especially with how fed control is, how this game doesn't go to a game 3.
It all hinges around Sandy and his ability to really like land those cages, get the priority targets. It's still possible. He can land the cage on Box, like knock him out of the fight early. It's certainly not over. However, I have to ask. I'm seeing Sandy building a Banshee's Veil next. Is the hat never gonna come? I'm a little shocked. I thought that was fairly core on Viger.
It is, but he's got plenty of damage, and like you got to look at his win condition right now. He just cannot get assassinated by control. That is the key thing. If he stays in the fight, he will pump the damage out.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just very interesting, and Sandy is a much better. Oh, Speedy, run!
Oh, Speedy getting run on. Rudy with the quickness. He's gonna get the flash in. Oh, and Speedy uses his Gale Force out, but still.
That was way too much.
Oh, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And Reform Bully allows an out after his teammate dies. Oh man.
No, that was trying a little too hard, as they say. They burned the flash on Rudy. They burned everything, and it's like you chase that far, you're starting to get in a position where you don't know where everybody, like where the enemy team is. You don't know if you're leading them into a trap. There's no vision over there, so it's the desire to close out the game. Especially, I'm sure they feel like they're really far ahead, that they can close this out. But you gotta always be patient, like.
Well, yeah, you still have to win the one game, which means you have to make the right moves and take the right fights, and it's never a guarantee. You know, you might have Soul, you might have a gold lead, you might have a really, really strong mid laner, but at the end of the day, you still have to make the right moves to take the right fights.
Yeah, and we always have to remember, 4 minutes on the clock, it's never too late for a burger flip. Never too late for a trip to McDonald's.
No, it is not, and that is the TCL special, the coin flip, the burger flip. That is what happens in all of these games. We've seen it happen many times before, and ultimately the question is will it be a throw from one side or a fantastic play from one side? And again, if we see Control playing like he did in that last fight, we get a little more out of that. You know, we'll be happy to see that he's taken control in this game and led to a win.
Yep, and now Lemon here just picked up Knight's Vow for Speedy, so hopefully that'll give him a little bit more, buy him a little bit more time. Speedy's also picked up the Red Elixirs, so I think he also recognizes that this dragon fight coming up is going to be the big finale, and he wants to be as powerful as possible for the occasion.
The only thing that I beg is that Jaws picks an Anathema's target before the end of the game. Because seriously, he goes and picks up
I thought they were doing a funny little flank maneuver there.
Well, I think it's gonna be what it takes, because he brought that Frozen Heart, which is a really, really smart item against the Tristana. And if you do lock that Anathemas, especially because there's no true damage on the Tristana, he bought the Gale Force. You are just going to prevent that Tristana from doing absolutely anything.
Interesting choice on Gale Force also, especially into all the tanks, isn't it? I thought that I guess
you saw the value. Yeah, you saw the value of it last fight because he Gale Forced. Like the reason that he got away from Rudy's ult was because of the Gale Force right there.
So it's a lot more safety, and I guess they're just counting on Viger to deal the damage as necessary. It looks like Viger also finished his thing. The only space he has left in his build is for the Medjais. So we'll see if it comes out.
And I did check with production, and production says the reason he never builds Medjais, he has a personal curse. The moment he ever buys it, it is guaranteed that he's gonna lose it.
Interesting.
So there's your answer.
I'm assuming then he just replaces it with Hat eventually, as soon as it's efficient.
Well, I know. I think you at this point, you just go for the hat, because like at the end of the day, oh, this is a beautiful bush cheese, and they come through, but they were not patient enough.
You're on the wrong side of town.
Yeah, Lemon really is, but he does end up getting a good dredge line on the train and gets himself out. I think they needed to be just a tiny bit more patient on that.
No, what it was is Bully still had his sweeper up. They saw them in the bush.
Oh, so they ran away. Boy.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
the
it's kind of it's a little ironic that they got the first blood off of this like sweeper mechanics. Oh boy, and here it comes.
Rudy is in again. He loves the quickness. He loves those engaged. They're able to find it. Not enough damage. AI Box ultimately finds multiple people. Control on the back line. He goes a little bit too far, more than he can chew, but he goes on to Speedy, and Speedy ends up living with just a tiny bit of HP. A beautiful play by Speedy to keep this game alive, and that's what he needed to do. Ultimately, still a 2-for-1, and we're going to see if Control and his team can push this to some type of victory.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to start positioning around the dragon here. There is no Tony. How long do we have on dragon production? It's got to be getting close.
25 seconds right here. Yeah, they have the priority, notably reform Bully.
You're giving it up to rush Baron down. Interesting.
Oh, they are going to get that. And Bully's going B. This is actually looking really, really bad. So
yeah,
he goes B.
Maybe they don't realize?
Oh, no. I don't think they do. So they're going to try to get to the dragon, but AI Box is backing. No, this can't be the right play.
Oh, he has to stop his back now if they just saw the Baron. Baron.
No. Well, yeah, the thing's going to spawn. They're going to want to go on it. Reform Bully doesn't even get a whole heal in base because he wants to leave right away. They give up the Baron. They get absolutely nothing for it. Control is sitting here forgetting about the Hex Gates. Oh, okay, he finally found his way. Jaws did forget about the Hex Gate. And now they're just sitting here 1-for-1. This is a very different outlook than it was about 1 minute
They got a big wave pushing down mid. This is dangerous.
He wants the fight. He's going in, even with the dragon. He gets the charm onto Speed of the backline. AI Box
has a beautiful box.
And this might actually be it. AI Box does so much damage at this point. Control with the kill onto Sandy Snake on the Vigar. And they're actually just going to be able to run this down. What a fantastic
they don't have waves. Yeah, they need to find some waves first.
They do. I almost would just go for this Herald. I know what they're trying to do. They want to go and find an inhibitor. I think you just have to be patient. Understand that with the Soul and with the Dragon, rather, not the Herald, you're gonna win every fight from here on out. Tristana actually goes bot lane. Is creating a little bit of counterplay on the top side. The question is can you actually just end the game here if you're AI Box in Control with a ton of damage? They're going to be looking to do it. The back is starting to drag it, and he does have the Baron back, so it's got to be quick. Speedy is spawned. We have a 4 versus 3 under tower, and this is going to be the final defense. The defense of the agents, if you will. The one kill is going to go through. Tony is in on it. Reform Bully's trying to go for it. Control gets a large ult. Ultimately, AI Box with a huge pullback. Is he going to be able to finish it? And he gets one more kill. It's him versus Music. It's going to have to be it. He gets the triple kill pretty much by himself. And this is it. The ult is in. He's going to have to do all the damage, but it will not be enough. And ultimately, the TP is going to come through, and he's going to actually try to find the tower on the top side. And this is a clown fiesta, everybody.
This is insane. And the dragon is still up. The dragon is still up, and this is a big...
Oh, the double TP comes through. Now Sandy wants to go. We're going. We're trying to find something. They are hungry. This game has to be ended in some capacity. We still have very large death timers. It is just Rudy, but both Musical Jaws and the Poppy were going to be up in 10 seconds. They're just going to take the 2 inhibs, not go for the win. They're going to head back to Dragon, and we have a serious game. Who knows what is going to happen right now?
That was inches from being the end of the game.
That was, they went a little too hard for it. They thought they had the DPS on the side of Crown Control to actually go for the win there, and they just didn't. They had to focus on the fight. They did have the man advantage. Unfortunately, they couldn't get there. And if they were a little more patient, AI Box had so much damage in that fight, but it just didn't matter. Now they are going to get priority there, but eventually Speedy's going to show up, and they're going to go on it. Rudy does find a jump in, and it looks like both teams are just going to want to fight right at the beginning of this. AI Box is behind. He's telling his team to stop. Oh, but a huge CC in the middle, and AI Box is just dishing the damage. He doesn't get the flash out on Rudy. Unfortunately, Bully also gets one shot. He is a damage build. AI Box has to do everything right now. He has to be the winner for his team. Tony is in on the fight. AI Box in the back line. Can he do anything? The GA is going to do it. Control saves the game, and they might be able to just win it. The GA comes through. Control gets all the damage. They're going to win this. The TP is going to come through in the blue team's base by Jaws, who with the Maokai slaps might be able to just win this game before the end of eternity. Not going to do a whole lot of damage, but
Lemon's going to be up for that. That's a those are some slow slaps.
Those are some slow slaps. Yeah, I don't know that he would have ever gotten there.
Controls. Oh, I thought Control's hits were gonna be bigger.
The wave gets pushed. Oh my God, we got silver scrapes, everybody. We are going to game 3.
Give me
Awesome
your points,
crowd
people.
control.
Give me your points. Wow, that was insane.
I don't know that anyone expected that, but we got what we deserved anyway. Control coming out with an absolutely massive
That's what
game.
my throat deserved, dang it.
No, it isn't. But ultimately, AI Box, as he can do, he ended up going and as we see him do a ton of damage. By the way, I don't know if people can see the damage graph on stream. Second highest damage in the game was from Speedy Bandito Tristana, 34k, 60k on AI Box. This is what I'm talking about. During the draft, people were looking down on AI Box. He's washed. He's old. You know, no one knows what's going on with him, right? And the thing is you play against lane. He doesn't always succeed in lane, but if you give him time to get into those mid and late game team fights, he will carry the game for his team, and that is what he ultimately did right now. Control with a great early game, mid game fed, but AI Box absolutely carried that game.
And frankly speaking, I want to also give credit. Rudy did a lot of great work in those engages and using his ult to disrupt the fights in the end game. It was definitely a team effort and definitely clawed for that win. Very, very exciting stuff.
That is what we play TCL for, everybody. Those late game team fights where you were just clawing back and forth at the TPs and going into base, and inhibs on both sides are gone. And this is so exciting. And the best part about this is that we got one more game of this stuff. I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone who's stuck in chat. We got one more game coming in. But for right now, we're going to go to break. See you all soon.
You the silver scrapes.
All right, folks, we are officially back. TCL Season 5, Week 1, Match 3. We've got Crowd Control versus Team Lemonade. We're here, baby. I'm here with Spirit of Fate, who has joined me 2 fantastic games in a row. There were 2 wins on both sides, and we are back with the Silver Scrapes. What do you think is going to happen, my friend?
Frankly speaking, going with my initial gut. If I'm one game away from a perfect prediction this week, I need Lemonade to close it out. That said, like that second game definitely brought pause. Team Crowd Control, they bounced back from a really brutal game one. Were really resilient, stood fast, and Bully honestly had some pretty clutch plays to make a name for himself after a somewhat lackluster game one. So it's going to be something exciting.
It is reformed Bully with some of the most ridiculous pop alts I have seen. Ultimately, AI Box, the king of that game. Obviously, Control got them through the early and the mid game, but AI Box into those tanks for the entire, he had like almost double the damage of anyone else in that lobby. That was absolutely crazy. And the question is what is he going to do this game? Rudy, honestly, and I feel like Rudy was a little bit I wouldn't say underappreciated. He just hasn't come up as much. He was there at the beginning of every single fight, and he showed aggression in a way that we've not always seen from him. Which I love to see from that kind of thing. He was kind of leading the team into the charge every single fight, and a vast majority of them worked out. And I'd say a lot of those fights were won because he got such good engages from him.
Absolutely. And I expected the Viger baby cage to really stymie him a lot. Not really. Like he was very, very skilled at finding ways to get to the back line, using his ult to break things up and make stuff challenging. That combined with the Poppy knockup, and you really have a very complex puzzle to unravel. What I'm curious about in your mind is, do the pick and bans shake up? I mean, like they've been throwing these bans at Control, but obviously he pulls the Akali out that I don't think anyone saw coming, and is still able to be an absolute monster on it.
I will say that team comp, and we got jokes in chat from the teams here. That team comp from Control, I don't know if I loved the way that the Poppy, where the Poppy's position was. It actually ended up working out. It did some of the damage, as we saw. Though again, it's one of those same types of competitions whereby compositions where by the end of the game you have 1 damage carry, and it's AI Box. And if you get to AI Box and you pick something that can get to him, they have to pick something different around from that. I want to see something more like the Nocturne. Again, that's a champion he's really excelled a ton around. I don't know. I don't know how I feel around it, and ultimately, I just get very scared when I see these team comps. They tend to lose, even though they won last time, where you've got 1 significant damage threat, an assassin, and basically 3, let's call them enablers. It's a very TCL classic, and the thing is, if you're going to pick like that, you need a control mage in the mid lane. But hey, it worked, so who am I to say that?
Well, the thing is, like, it's one of those things where if it were somebody other than Control, I don't think it works. But
yeah, I think that's fair, and he really did play that early game so well. Roamed at the right times. And honestly, like that game came from the fact that he found that solo kill at the beginning of the game. If he had not found that 1v2 solo kill, I don't know what we would be saying. I don't know if we'd be sitting here in game 3. So, he found his way into it.
So far, so same. We're seeing the Syndra and LeBlanc. Obviously, they want to keep the LeBlanc off, but they're very concerned about the Syndra. And I'm expecting a Morgana again. I feel like Crowd Control is very convinced that they found at least those 2 are the right bands to keep Lemon and Music from their sort of peak performance. That said,
Interesting, by the way, on the Morg ban, only because I feel like Lemon has signified that he wants to be playing tanks. I don't know. If you've been looking at his match history, because again, I've seen like I've seen them talking about. I know what they're intending to run. I know that they're just feeling more comfortable putting Lemon on things that he can create engaging opportunities with. The Morg ban feels a little weird for me.
I don't think Lemonade has been running Morgana all that much, but I think that what it really is that Morgana is a very good champion into a lot of Rudy's champions. Like trying to play Rakan into a Morgana is really, really rough. Trying to play Nautilus, a Mumu, anything that's a pick tank into a Morgana is challenging. Because you can stymie just so much uh, of the options there.
Yeah, and I'm left a little bit just interested about, again, what was it about the Syndra they were so scared of? Yeah, it's a control champion, but he also plays a lot of other champions. Like his Orianna's really good in terms of control mages. Everyone agrees with the LeBlanc. The LeBlanc is just too disgusting to be able to play. And then what was the Udyr from? I'm sure Bully's been playing it, but
I have
again,
no clue. I think that it's most. I'm not sure if they think that Tony is just really scary on it. I'm not really sure. I'll have to. We'll have to ask them about it if they win.
I am, by the way, a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the Maokai being picked up again by Jaws. At the end of that game, he was able to do so many things, finding the right engages, just being in the middle of the team, and just giving AI Box space to do what he had to do. I think that works a lot better than Nar. Where, like, again, I mean, Nar is still my highest master champion. So again, I'll sit here and talk about how much I love him. But like, it's a very conditional output, right? If you show up at one of those fights or UTP and a fight starts at the wrong time where you're mini Nar, fight's over. You don't get to take it, right? That's just how it is. And this Maokai can show up and be useful to do exactly what is needed for the front to back type of team composition that they're trying to make work.
Yes,
so,
no, absolutely.
For Lemon, let's go.
We've got Lemon back on comfort. They've played long enough that they've forgotten they've forgotten who brought him to the dance, so to speak.
Well, yeah, and I will say, I wonder if they're looking at it from last game. And honestly, I kind of wish Lemon would have stuck it. If I have to say anything, my guess is that Lemon is sitting here like, yeah, I got blown up at the end of the game, at every single point, forgetting that a lot of his Nautilus is why they got so far. So I'm guessing that's something that Lemon got a little concerned with and said, hey, I want to go back to Lulu. And I'm sure the team left him on it. I have a feeling the rest of the team.
I think that the other thing is that last game they didn't actually. Lemon was really all their hard engaged. Like when you think about it, it's like Viger can run forward, Mundo can run at them, like Jhin can run at them, but Nautilus is the only real like hard like stick it to them hook. Whereas this time they grab Sejuani again. Here's the interesting question. Oh, a shakeup here. They're taking Sandy off of his Viger. Very interesting.
Well, that's I don't know if he would have picked it again. I'll be completely honest. I'm expecting more something like Corky. That's what he likes to play. The Azir is possible, but it has been nerfed in a way that makes it probably less likely that he wants to play it. But the thing is one thing you'll see with a lot of players is when you take a loss and you're going into game 3 after the most recent loss, you will go shake it up because you're just feeling a little uncomfortable and you're feeling like they figured you out. And because of that, I have a feeling like the Vigar wasn't going to get played. But again, we'll see. Like Corky and Azir are the two
control mages he's most well known for.
Yeah. In again, that Corky is kind of a very clear, very close. I mean, it wouldn't be a control mage, but it's such a Sandy Snake champion. A champion that can go and just scale into an infinity and be this just obnoxious poke artist towards the end of this game.
Here's the interesting. I'm assuming that they're keeping counter pick for control.
Yeah, they have. Oh, okay. Karthus here from Reformed Bully in the jungle.
That's fascinating. Now here's the interesting question: is this Sejuani jungler top?
Almost assuredly top. I think that Tony's looking at this game and he's saying like, hey, listen, I'm the diamond player. I need to go play damage and actually create something out of this. Sandy Snake Cassio, I guess that was an opportunity I guess the thought here is that with the Rakan continuously jumping forward, at that point, you just throw the W and you run away and you're done with it. The thing is that if at any point Rudy finds flanks with the quickness, the whole team's going to die. It's a little scary between Tony and Cassio with very little real escape. Kindred here from Tony.
That could be vicious. That could be very, very vicious.
Yeah, it's interesting because the rest of his team is very scaling heavy, and a lot of what Kindred likes to do. Obviously, Kindred scales into the game, but the best Kindred games are ones where she has the priority early to begin those invades and go and start stacking up. And I'm not seeing that out of the rest of the team comp. So I'm kind of struggling.
But what I'm thinking is, I think that she just goes into the jungle and murders Bully on repeat. I think that's the vision there.
Yeah, that's the possibility, and we'll have to see where the priority happens. I don't know. My expectation is just because ever since the Ari changes, she is really able to find priority early in the lane. You start W, you just start pushing the lane early at the start of the game. So my expectation is that through the beginning of the game, Control is going to be in a good place to basically be a part of those. But again, we'll see. But hey, as always, if anyone wants to join and give their thoughts on the draft, come into the custom lobby. We will pull you in. You can tell us what you think.
Blood's seen it. Blood's seen it. We are looking at the double exhaust bot lane, a lemon special if I've ever seen one.
Double exhaust bot lane. That's so painful. Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be, because my question is who are you exhausting? You're exhausting Control, but like if you're ever in range to exhaust the Zaya, I feel like maybe you're in the middle of the enemy team anyway. He switched it. He switched it. Yeah, he switched it last second. Okay, that's
oh
better.
my gosh,
that's better. Yeah, I like that cleanse.
Me, kids, you almost had me.
I think that's very intelligent. Sandy with the ghost, I love that. He's going to be going ham this game. Ultimately, I'm on the favor of the crowd control team comp. Again, I'm looking at a lot of range and a lot of people that have to do a lot of different things across the map by themselves from Team Lemonade. That's the thing that I'm probably most concerned with. And like, yeah, Music has a chance to get into these team fights and go basically carry everything that they need out of a front line. But if he doesn't get strong and he doesn't make it to the team fights, you just have 4 ranged. And that kind of freaks me out against a Rakan who can just bust into the middle of them and do whatever he wants. And maybe the hope is, again, you've got a Kindred ult and a Lulu ult to prevent yourself from dying, but time will tell.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a very daring comp. I think that they do have the tools to make it work. I'm obviously going to be putting my money with Lemonade if we end up getting the poll together in time, but it's definitely not an obvious thing. I think a lot of this is going to ride on Tony and his ability to get into the jungle and unintended bully the bully. If he's not able to do that and get a solid lead, though, I think that, to your point, there's lots of tools that they have on crowd control to really lock down the Kindred and get this under control.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have
again.
Yeah, there you go. Between again the Maokai going in, Rudy, who's just been so aggressive in a really positive way, in the damage of AI box with his quick, 2 feather throw, auto attack, E pull back, control with the charm and all the damage that comes out of there. And then if all of that doesn't work, Karthus runs into the middle of the enemy team who's been CC'd, drops his E, and just starts doing damage. And by the end of the fight, if everyone isn't dead, Requiem comes through. And that's kind of what I'm expecting from this game. And I just, again, I don't like the comp from Team Lemonade. I do think they have players that are really, really, really skilled, maybe even slightly more skilled when you look position to position. But I think coming off of that win and the momentum, I'm calling for crowd control in this game. I think they take the series.
Alrighty. Well, I think we've got 2 very different votes coming out here. We'll see how it pans out here.
We will see how it pans out. I always like when the casters go different ways. Never fun when everyone says the same thing. Very excited. Let's go win some channel points here, everybody.
Yep. By the way, I did nobody vote for crowd control last time? There was a very nice sweet payout on that one.
Yeah, I think all of the people like to go with the crowd mentality. You see a lot in TCL, and that was one of them. I think they had a chance. Control's a beast. AI box. Everyone discounted him. Said that he might have been, worst or second to worst 80 carry. And the fact is that man can carry. He plays smart, and the only downside that he has is again he can get bullied out in lane, and if he loses lane, he has trouble getting back into it. If you're not able to go and push him out of lane, he can sit there and farm and scale and find the right team fights. He's a really good player, and his late game mechanical team fighting is honestly some of the best in class of all of TCL. So that's my take. And if they find this one at the late game and they have a scaled Karthus and an even more scaled Xayah once again, I think this is a one game. And I'm loving, the counter invade. This is great. Yeah, Jaws last game got absolutely wrecked by this, and so they're like, you know what? Can't get wrecked of it if we go invade ourselves.
Correct. Now let's see if Seji music up top. See, the problem is it's much harder to do this style of counter invade because.
Well, but the question is will music? Oh, I kind of wanted to see them be patient. Yeah, they got caught on that. Well, everyone knows they're there. Yeah, okay. They just get the warden over the wall and they just leave. I'm wondering, and this seems a little cheesy, what would have happened if they would have stayed there until, like, I don't know, 115? Just saying. Or maybe not 115.
Like, bot side, it's not a problem because it's just, like, you have the top laner and they can always just teleport if it takes too long, but like bot lane really can't afford to wait super long there.
Well, as long as you get back to base by minion spawn, like, yeah, I guess that is probably a little late.
Yeah,
you start your recall at like 1 minute. Yeah, a little bit late. My times are off, but I just wanted to see some level 1 action. We haven't gotten enough of that in TCL. We got all these people like Blood who hate the
It looks like I can't tell. Was it Speedy or Lemon? Somebody went up and dropped a blue award at blue, so they both know that they're going to be jungling reverse each other. I think that this is actually, if Kindred wants to be an absolute jerk to Karthus, she's immediately going to be beelining it for his blue buff.
And that is what's happening right now. In fact, you called it, and they got the wards on both sides. Everyone knows what's happening. Hopefully the Karthus is able to make it to the blue. The question is the Kindred going to beeline it? Is this going to be a real vertical jungle, or is she just going to run straight to her blue and try to 3 camp?
So I don't think that Karthus has the option of really trying to invade over on that side. Plus, they have a ward there, so they would see it. No, the ward just died. Okay.
Yeah, we are going to get a true vertical jungle on this, as we expected. Kindred, hopefully she's going to get her marks going bot side. Rudy goes in on the bot lane, a huge trade onto Lemon. God, Rudy is just on top of everything tonight. I've seen some really fantastic play. And for the most part from Lemon too, obviously towards the end of last game, things faltered a little bit, but
like honestly, I might be slightly off base here, but I do like the longer the game goes, the more that I'd rather be a support not named Nautilus in most games.
Well, right, and again, you're not supposed to be the primary tank, towards the end of that game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot left for him there. Music X, by the way, doing a great job on these trades, winning the priority. Obviously, Bully here. Bully actually in a potential gank position if he heals up any of this HP. Looks like he's walking top. The ward is there. Okay, no, he's just going to sink back into his jungle. I don't know if he knows he's warded, but almost would have liked him just to go for that scuttle crab. But yeah, ultimately, Tony...
Cassiopeia was walking up on it, and I think Control called that out.
Yeah, but it is going to look right here. Tony's going to go. He's going to get that scuttle. He's going to end up with a camp, and he will be 1 camp up by the end of this. And again, this as we've talked about in Champ Select, this is going to come down to the Kindred's ability to stay ahead and farm, really power farm through this, get those marks, and then make sure that her laners actually have the priority to be able to go and...
Yeah, and I think that's where this, like the Kindred pick makes a little bit more sense when you look at the different lanes and you realize that I believe all of the lanes end up with priority here.
Oli walking up towards top side with a lane gank. He just wants Jaws to go in. Yeah. Wonder if that was a bit of a...
I guess he's just going to shove it in, but I don't know that you're really getting too much here. And Kindred will have the visibility on this at this point.
Yeah, well, I think the goal was to get priority so that they just could guarantee the scuttle. Obviously, Kindred's across the map. They don't know that, though. So, yeah, if that was the intention, then I guess, hey, maybe smart play, and glad that they kept the Kindred behind on that stack.
But I think that this wasn't the stack on the bot side.
Oh, on my screen it showed it top side.
Oh, never mind. I'm looking at the, I'm looking at a really tiny screen. So,
Oh
let's get the bigger view.
Yeah, full thing. No,
Interesting that Kindred didn't try to rush top while there was prio there, but is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, not sure I really know what to say about that other than my assumption is that Control is going to be able to have priority in this lane. Interestingly, though, it hasn't gone exactly like this. Their lane is about even. Oh, going engaged on the bot lane right here. Rudy ends up finding the W. The flash and the cleanse going to come out. Rudy is trying his best, getting all the damage onto it. He's not there. Oh, flash and the pullback from AI Box. An absolutely huge play from the soon-to-be married this weekend. Our man goes in and gets first blood, and he's ready to carry this game.
Yeah, that's fantastic play. Oh, we got the... Wow, he thought the control. I think he thought the control was out of mana, and he was just a wee bit. He did just enough of those ults.
Exactly 100. Now, Control's in a weird position. He is going to want to push this lane. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have an option to. When you're out of mana, this could be really sad, and you end up having to lose 1 or 2 late waves just trying to get back.
Yeah, no, this is very, very big though. The kill in bot lane though, because it relieves the pressure there and allows Karthus to come down there, collect that stack, and get out of this vertical jungling situation that probably wasn't really. Oh,
Tony, you got a gank coming through. Tony through on the top side. Musical Jaws is going to try to get out of this. He does have a flash, but Tony is doing the proper thing. He's making sure he can't get out of the side. Jaws does want to get out. He is at least going to force a flash out of Tony, which is probably the best he can get out of it. Ultimately, the ult comes through, gets the flash out of Tony. Potentially ultimately worth it as long as he doesn't suffer a couple extra ganks. But yeah, great gank, great play by Tony, sticking over that wall, making sure he didn't get a fun little flash over it to get out.
Yep. And the big thing there is Tony waited to apply his target or his mark until he came in for the gank. So he was able to get a mark off that. So despite having a wee bit of misfortune,
he actually wasn't, because it didn't apply by the time he got the kill. He still only has one.
He still got a mark.
He still only has one.
Yeah, but I thought you said that he didn't get it on the scuttle, so that would have been his only one.
Oh, he got the bot one, and then it spawned topside. Like, he got the bot one that started or spawned at the beginning of the game, and then the next.
I understand. I don't think that Kindred's mark was on the bot one though.
The mark that he has had since the mark
spawned.
Oh,
okay, my mistake there.
Yeah. No, because I looked a couple minutes ago and he still had one mark. So yeah, whatever happened topside right there, he did not actually get it off in time, unfortunately.
Got it. Okay.
That being said, he is now to 2 because he has just got his second mark.
Yep.
The scuttle. Woo!
Now remind me, the break points for the marks. I know that there's one at 5, right? Or what's where the big ones?
So the first break point is at 4, and then it's every 3 marks after the 4th.
Yeah. So Rudy is doing a good job here controlling the bushes, and this is the part where Lulu starts to have a lot more challenges, because Rudy can always start the fight, and Rakan is definitely a lot squishier than say a Nautilus.
Oh, the engage. This is not going to work out good because Tony has showed up at the right time. Unfortunately, not enough to go on. As we said, this is what happens when you lack CC as a team. No one on the spot lane has any kind of hard CC, and unfortunately, a great gank position, but just these 3 champions don't really work out that well together when you're trying to gank. Rudy gets out scot-free.
Yep, I believe that he used his ult, though, so he does have that down. And Zaya's ult is down as well. It looks like Reform Bully's been fairly quiet. He's just doing the farm game as Karthus, but he's up there in farm. He's up like 15 farm at this point on Kindred, and
But
like a
they
little
are
bit
pretty
gold
much
as well.
even on gold. They are pretty much even on gold, though, and I would suspect that has something to do with at least the assist that Kindred got.
I think that actually might be the entirety of their gold difference. Come to think of it.
Yeah, this is still a very close game early on. These lanes have kept it close. And right now, Reform Bully is just going to start this Herald by himself. Jaws did not come down. He is not showing it, and so it's very unclear that that's what's going on. Similarly, Ari has pushed the wave in the middle lane, and both of them are going to run over, and I think they're just going to get this Herald without anyone knowing about it.
Very well played. And it looks like Reform Bully is rotating top. They actually have a decent amount of vision control here, and Bully very easily could just come up here and shove this
Yeah,
for some plate gold.
My only question is giving 2 plate gold to the. I mean, I guess the intention is you just want to give 2 plate gold to yourself and kind of be happy with that. That should really be all they get. Music should be able. Yeah, Bully's just gonna walk away. He's literally just gonna get the 2 plate gold and kind of call it a day there. Someone who's way smarter than me at League of Legends could tell me in chat if that's the right thing to do. Feels like there might be an opportunity in another lane to get more out of it, but.
Any chance you could rewind that a second? I don't think that Jaws was actually in range to pick up the plate gold when
I'll look. Yeah, he was not. Yeah, he actually did not. And
Okay.
that's the thing.
Honestly,
Again,
I think that it makes his lane all the harder, but I think that that's actually not the worst thing in the world. You do want the Karthus just getting lots and lots of gold, and that's certainly one way to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this Karthus being super juiced up, and he's up almost by the way about 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
So, it does ultimately work. Tone Dog sticking by the bot side here, interestingly, looking for another gank. I don't see it happening. I don't understand where you're going to get this on it. Like, yeah, Rudy just going to go. He's going to be able to get the dash back. The slow does go down onto Rudy, who is ultimately trying to save Box. Box stays in a little bit long. The Requiem, they might actually go for the fight. Yeah, ultimately.
The problem is that there's too much time passing between these ganks, so they have all their escape tools up again. Sandy, no.
Sandy is a little bit. No, he's gonna be fine. Yeah, I don't like these bot ganks. I'm just saying, like, you got to look at this and you got to say, Lulu and Caitlyn have absolutely zero ability to set up for a gank. That's not what those champions do. They're just not capable of it. Rudy going for damage, not realizing his AI box is a little bit too low to be a part of these fights.
Yeah. I think that Tony might have a little bit more luck just focusing on this top lane.
Rudy goes in. He tries to find it, but a beautiful net away from Speedy, and Lemon just perfectly hits it with the knock-up on the ult at the same time. Rudy trying a little bit too hard, a little bit scary.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is they're in the better position here. They don't need to be forcing this. Oh, Speedy probably should die for this. I think he's being a little too cautious there.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that other than just not what I think we needed out of Rudy. Oh, we got a fight in the mid lane. Sorry, we missed that right there. A beautiful fight in the mid lane right there, and Sandy's going to be able to find it. I'm going to rewind and see exactly what just happened there. My apologies, everybody.
Sandy's ult caught Control when he came in.
Control flashes in. Control flashes in and misses the charm, and Sandy just goes and styles on him after that. Very, very unfortunate. Good play by Sandy, heads up. But yeah, Control tries a little too hard after that. Rudy tried a little too hard. I don't fully know what to say about that.
What is this? What is this trash talk? Control, that's for you, Tranimal.
Oh, yeah,
Sandy,
we're on
never
stream.
heard of him, but I respect it.
Never heard of him.
Wow, look at this! Look at this ward coverage by Rudy. Good. Like this is the spice of life. Wards everywhere.
This really is, and I gotta say, this Karthus is gonna be really scary. He's up so much gold, 30 CS, about
Lemon. This is.
Yeah, Lemon is a little bit far forward. He doesn't see the red team onto this. Speedy gets the flash up, and unfortunately, the quickness gets the charm. AI box with it. Doesn't even need the pullback. And Reform Bully is eating tonight. Oh my god.
He's got a lot of gold.
Yeah. Reform Bully is going to be looking really, really, really scary by the end of this game. Again, he's up now he's up over 1.5k on the enemy jungler. He by far has the most gold right here. Gank coming in mid lane onto Control. A lot of damage. Ultimately, not going to mean anything though.
I think that they probably could have been aggressive there going with the Kindred ult, but
Well, yeah, but control still has ult. So like the worst case scenario, he just
when
ults
the
out.
Casio threw the W down. But yeah, it's a good point. There's no need for, I guess, to overplay it. They actually do have a fairly well scaling mid lane. They don't need this. But that said, Karthus is really, really far ahead in terms of gold at this point.
He is, and like I don't even know that the Kindred is playing it wrong. I do have to say that again. I just think that the Kindred and the ganks he's been choosing to take have just been wrong. You know, go feast on topside, man. Like the topside, it's not like it's been under Jaws' turret for the entire time. Like go get those. Unfortunately, you just don't have the ability.
It doesn't matter if it's under Jaws' turret. You can still dive it.
Well, right, that too. I mean, you've got the damage. You've got a couple of those early marks. Just go. But yeah, I guess that's not what they were feeling, and I'm not sure I know exactly what the status is there. But yeah, as a result, Reform Bully is just so far ahead. Oh, interestingly, also Reform Bully running futures market as he loves to do.
So he's got even access to even more gold for those big breakpoints.
Yeah, this next ult with both the Hextech Alternator and the Sork Shoes. So Alternator, a lot like Luden's, is a really interesting one because I believe, and I don't know if it still works like this, but so for everyone who doesn't know, Hextech Alternator, it just does a little bit extra damage on spell hit, like once every 40 seconds. And so the question is when Karthus ults, who's the first person it hits? I believe it's like the first person on the top of the scoreboard. And I think that is actually how it calculates it. Yeah, well, because it has to pick one person, right? Same with Luden's.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it would do something cheesy and apply it to all of them or something like that, but
yeah, 12-inch in chat is saying lowest HP. Maybe that's the way that it used to be, and now it's lowest HP. I definitely thought that for all those effects, it picked whoever's on top. Oh, Jaws, TP's topside as his turret goes down.
how about
All
that
right,
one?
we got some combat. We got some top lane combat. Stuff is going down. Tank versus tank in the top lane. In Jaws, I think you actually have to stay in the fight and you have to keep auto-attacking. He's trying to run away, which is just making him go lower. We got the wet noodle fight. Meanwhile, the charm has come in the midline. Sandy Snake found himself a little bit over.
Oh my gosh, and with the burn, Bully.
Yeah. Great burn. Karthus ults come down, and there was no chance of any survival there. Great play from Control, finding that CC. Great roam there from Rudy, and ultimately, our man, Reform Bully, just more kills, more gold.
Yeah, I shudder to think how much damage he's going to do when he starts building that, builds that needlessly large rod.
Yeah, that's going to be, it's
In,
going to
like
be...
in production, can we check? I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty close to it.
He's got, he's got about 900 gold, so he's
yeah, but remember, he's also got futures market, so...
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, when he finishes this camp, I would not be surprised if he has enough for... Yeah, and when he clears out the wave. Wow. Yeah, I think that he'll have enough as soon as he backs to get that.
I'm gonna be honest. I just in this one, I will say I think we're seeing a bit of a draft diff. Tony, that game one, playing that kind of bruiser type of champion, I think he was able to. Oh, Music X goes in way ahead of his team, throws the ult onto Reform Bully. I just disagree with that play. Again, I think both teams. Yeah, both teams getting a little bit nervous right here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was just no follow up, and yeah, you're just an ult down, and maybe right now, if I'm Control, I look for a fight.
It looks like there's some sort of tussle up there.
Speaking of looking for a fight, the musical Jaws finding the twisted advance onto Speedy Bandito, a great play, but Speedy ultimately gets out of that, uses the cleanse to get out though. Control finds onto Lemonilla. Lemonilla has to flash out, he's completely on the fight. Meanwhile, Sandy Snake in the back line with a beautiful, beautiful play and flank, and now he's on to AI Box. AI Box is way far up. Sandy Snake has officially carried this fight with two freaking beautiful plays. Onto the back line, finds absolutely everything he wants out of that, and that's what happens when you're the king, baby. Sandy Snake finds the carry, and they're going to push this into a turret with the Herald. Fantastic.
There is nobody home to stop that.
No, that's a game-creating moment right here. Yeah, Sandy absolutely huge in that fight. Perfect positioning. Goes and finds Rudy in the back line. Immediately, AI Box steps up, tries to go and find the fight and follow his team. And he
oh my gosh, 3 charges.
Right there.
Yeah. And I also want to say I think that Control overcommitted a little bit onto Lemon there. Like
Once
I know
he
it's
flashed
I know
out,
you go for the support, but like he still had flash up, he still had ult up. Like it's very, very difficult to assassinate Lulu at this point in your build. He doesn't have Source Shoes. He's gone with Merc Treads again to protect against the stuns from. Actually, I guess the stuns from both Sejuani and from Cassiopeia, which I understand. It's definitely the safer pick, and they are going to be counting on Control to deliver a lot of the damage or to survive a lot of the targeting. But that does not give you the assassination potential at this stage in the game to finish off a Lulu with ult.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. I mean, that's you had to take the flash, get out of there, and disengage the fight. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to. They were overcommitted, and most importantly, Tailwhip brings up in chat, the fight had started before Karth Assault was up. And again, you know who has all your gold. You know who's bringing the octane. You gotta wait till it's up, man. Don't fight. You know, you gotta learn to pick and choose your fights and not just ooga booga. You know, go for whoever you see in front of you whenever it happens. You know, League of Legends is checkers, it's chess.
Well, and the other thing is, and we keep bringing this up, the fatigue I think is starting to set in. That was a 45-minute game last round, and especially considering how many of the members of Team Crowd Control are coming out back after hiatuses, after not playing for a while. Like, this is a long series.
It is.
And I have to imagine that there's at least some degree of fatigue that's setting in here. Oh boy,
this is interesting. Sandy misses the ult. Control, whether he knew it was coming or not, did a beautiful dodge on it. He's able to get out. Tony's really low HP. It looks like they had to go on them, but ultimately the Cassiopeia ult, Miasma, does not actually hit
Tony
him.
going fast.
Tony is going fast, but Rudy's out of there. Tony's got to heal up a little bit. Oh, Petrifying Graze, Miasma's a different ability. Ah.
Petrifying Gaze, but also Music missed his ult, so there's lots of. Oh, wait,
he did right here.
Rudy really healed up in a hurry.
Well, Control's in a good position. Again, that Requiem is everything that you're looking for. They're going to be able to take this slowly. And what are you going to do? Are you walking into this? Musical Jaws has decided he's going to go in. I disagree with that right there. The rest of the team wanted to stay on the Dragon. Jaws wanted to go in. I think throwing the ult was the good idea to keep him out, but maybe going in looking for the fight wasn't. Clear miscommunication. Ultimately, they're going to get the Dragon and hopefully get out for free. The question is what's Music going to be able to do here? Music does not have ultimate up. It is going to be up relatively soon, but it is not there. Tony just jumped over the wall, and they're out.
For Baron. They're pinging it out anyway.
Yeah,
and
Karth
is moving. They don't realize. They don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't. They're actually just starting it, but they do have the blue trinket onto it. It's going to be quick. There is no jungler. The Requiem does come through, and that is a lot of freaking damage. Is it going to be enough? The ult comes through. Oh my god, Rudy! No. Rudy just got hit with every ultimate ability in the world. Control's trying to carry this 1 versus 5, but there still is the Lamb's Respite. Now Box is trying, but he goes and he pulls it back a little bit too early. He's going 1 versus 5. Box is trying to give it everything. Does he have anything?
Oh no, that was a hero play by Box.
He can't bring it. And it's not there, and Control's looking for a little bit more. Oh man.
Control, you have no mana.
You have no mana. Box.
Bowling's ult did a ton of damage, but it was sort of in service of nothing there. Rudy and Box both individually tried monumentally to make that happen, but between the Kindred ult and the Lulu ult, actually I just realized Kindred and Lulu have the same score line.
Well, and I can't, by the way, I cannot blame Box. As an ADC, you're in for that moment. You feel like, you know, the team's not there. You got to go for the hero play. And if you make it, you know, then you're going to be going down in TCL infamy. And if you don't, you're going to be on the wall of shame. And you know what? I've been on the wall of shame to know enough times. It's always
I don't think that play belongs on the wall of shame. It didn't work, but I think he had the right idea. It was just the timing was the littlest bit off. The real tragic part of that one was I think that he fires out his ult, but I think he pulled it back just before the Lamb's Respite ended. And it's like battle of seconds there.
Well, and when he Gale Forced in later, like having the Qs in auto attack and the E to at least root someone would have at least allowed for a fight there, but unfortunately, I don't think the cooldowns were up. It was just too soon after he pulled it all in. So,
and now they've got Baron. They're starting to mount the pressure. The gold lead has like Bully Bully has a ton of farm and gold, but he does not, unfortunately, have all the gold. And it looks like, and in the average, it looks like it's landed on Team Lemonade there.
well, yeah, unfortunately, if this game goes in the favor of Team Lemonade, I don't think that they played the early game wrong from crowd control. I think that we've seen them just not be synced up. Certain people are going in at certain times. That dragon play was a perfect example. Jaws wanted to fight. The rest of them thought they were taking dragon. And I don't know that any of the calls are necessarily wrong. I just think that they're not doing the same call, and that's really what's causing problems, I think, for the team right now.
100%. And the tricky part there is that it's just so... remember, this is also Jaws' first series of TCL, and this is a hell of a one to come in on. Like,
oh, it is. I mean, these games are tough fought. We've gotten to game 3. I'm just excited for when we get to playoffs with the best of 5s, because like you see the professionals on stage with the best of 5, and you don't really know just how freaking tired you are by the end of it, because it's not like playing solo queue where you're just playing some for fun meme games. Like when you're in game of these, you are locked in the entire time. You're insanely locked in, and that makes you tired. You get to the end, and sometimes that's where the fiestas come from.
Yeah, no, it's tricky because there's a there's a sports anime that I watch where there's an entire monologue about how when you're so close to winning, you just want to pick up the tempo because it's like you can taste the victory, but that's often a trap because the desire to try to force the win is often what makes you lose.
Oh, here we go. Tony jumping in a little bit far forward. Control does not want to use his ult to get out. A lot of damage onto Tony, actually.
Yeah, that was on the topic of people trying to force hard for to close the game out. Thankfully, he does have some berries to eat up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that stuff totally happens where you just want to try really hard to find that exact little thing. Like you get to this part of the series and patience doesn't exist anymore. It's almost impossible.
Yep.
A lot of
chunk out on Rudy. That's going to be a rough thing because they're going to need him to probably lead the charge in this. And I guess that Maokai can always use his ult to move in, but I think they're just going to have to seed this.
Yeah, this is forced soul point. That being said, they are going to get the uncontested Drake here, but this actually might be turned around into... Yeah, this is going to turn around into a tower. I would have almost expected TLA just to go and try to get behind him and take the fight there as opposed to all going B, but... Again, you get to this part of the series and no one wants to lose.
Everyone wants to play it patient. Everyone wants to stay calm. And honestly, in my opinion, the more patient team is going to be the one that comes out on top here. Well, because you can see Tony trying to force stuff. You can see Jaws trying to force stuff. Like eventually, are they looking to like try to get Baron on spawn?
Does look like it.
No,
Jaws caught out.
No.
Oh no, his bat probably had a half a second left in it. Oh shoot.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I think that Baron is coming up pretty soon. 37 seconds, he's not going to be there for it. He's going to be exactly.
No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He will have the TP there, just unfortunately. That I've had that happen.
For him to jump to.
But yeah, I will say nobody wants to be the one to make the game losing play for a series, and yet the people who are willing to kind of like shut that feeling up and go in and just make a play, those are the people who win.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you get. You have to be willing to take the loss to go get the win. And especially in a game that's close like this, if you're Control's team in Bully, you gotta go just make the play and do what's right and don't be scared.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a
look at this. Bully is obviously a big win point for them.
Baron's getting done. Let's not take a look at a gosh darn thing except for the Baron being taken.
Like there's no way for them to contest it at this point. What I was saying though is like if we're looking at team crowd control, like what's the win condition here? How do they get back into this? Obviously they need to have a team fight where Box and Karthus are able to. Or Box and Bully are able to actually like contribute, dish out damage and stuff. They need to avoid these little one-off picks where one of them goes down alone.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, again, unfortunately, the team is just not moving at the same time. Like, I'm not entirely unconvinced, even with this lead. I mean, maybe at this point with the Baron, I'm not unconvinced that with the right engage from the Maokai, some kind of flank getting onto a key person, and Bully gets into the middle of the enemy team, I'm not convinced that they can't win the team fights even when behind. You have a really fed Karthus, and the problem is the Karthus isn't being used at all. He's literally not a part of anything right now.
Yeah.
And so how can you expect to win the fights if you're not actually meeting up as a team and, well, fighting?
Yeah, and this is actually exactly what TLA used to like kind of doom or oh my gosh, Rudy, I don't know, you're not a tank.
No, you aren't a tank. No,
Thank God music didn't have his ult timed for that, because that would have been a very dead recon.
it would have been. Yeah, I mean, this is the option. Rudy wants to go. The quickness has been gone, but he has been slowed out of it. All of the CC once again happened. Music is going in on it. Oh, the Caitlyn's going to hit. Bully did not block the Caitlyn ult. That's going to be a death right there. That's going to be the second death. And they're just going down one by one by one. Bully completely missed the Caitlyn ult. Rudy could have been alive, and we would have at least had a game, but they're just going to be able to push this in for the end. The Requiem does come down. It's going to be a lot of damage. Wow, the ult actually goes down.
Nearly blown up there.
But yeah, I mean, no one can say the Bully didn't get fed and didn't do damage. He is trying his hardest. Unfortunately, the team is just not together. They got caught out, and they did not play as a team during that last fight, and that's the unfortunate thing. They are pushing the tempo right here. There's a lot of damage going down, but ultimately they're not going to end the fight right now, and Crowd Control will live to fight another day, but maybe just one more day.
The clever thing that TLA is doing here is every time the engage tools for crowd control try to go in, they always back off and blow them up. That way, even if Reform, Bully, Control, and Box survive, if they don't have the tools to actually start, or like if they don't have a front line to stand behind, it doesn't matter. They can't just walk up to like a Sejuani or walk up to a Cassiopeia. They need somebody to go in and start the fight for them, and without that, there's just nothing to be done.
Dude,
It doesn't matter how
I
bad they are.
totally agree. I totally agree, and I'm laughing every time. Poor Rudy, every time he tries to go in and gets hit with the Setchel, gets hit with the Caitlyn trap, you know, with the miasma from the Cassiopeia. It's like, what are you supposed to do if you're Rudy?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because in theory you don't expect. I think this is the reason why they didn't want like the Morgana, because Morgana's very good at that. Like you can lock up the Rakan pretty easily with your Q, but nobody expects the Sedge to just throw his Q on the Rakan. It's like, what is
not
that?
at all. No, not at all. And again, Sandy plays the positioning so well. It's what he's known for. You're never going to catch him out. He's never going to be in a position where Rudy can even get to him blindly without him being able to throw the miasma out right in front of him. And that's what we've seen every single fight.
We're seeing the choking begin. Like they got supers in the music coming in for the there's no defense to be done here.
This is tough. This is tough. Honestly, yeah, you got everyone here. Jaws needs to just flash in and just go on the carry and hope to get somebody out of this. Oh, and Control goes around the side and he misses absolutely everything. The Requiem is going to come through, but unfortunately the Ari has nothing. Tony's so far in the front and he gets so much damage onto Rudy, but Rudy is still alive and is going to be able to live from that. Control is trying everything. Unfortunately, Control did not get the angle on it, and they let Rudy die. What are you guys doing? The second time in a row that they've let him die like that. This team is not playing like a team. And unfortunately, when you don't play like a team, you lose the game, and that's what we're seeing here. It's looking like the end. They're coming to it. Reform Bully tries to get forward, tries to get damage onto it. Tony's low. Box is trying to do absolutely everything that he possibly can. All of the damage, but ultimately, it will not be enough. And that is going to be a win by TLE. Fantastic end of series. Fantastic ending. The team who played like a team won the game, and that's what we just saw here in our final match of TCL Week 1.
Incredible performance. I had a feeling that if there was going to be a series that went to 3, it was going to be this one, and I was not disappointed. Really, that incredible performances across the board. fantastic play, a lot of new champions and a lot of new tactics. Yeah, absolutely wild performance. Also, 7-0 on the week in terms of predictions, baby.
Yeah, you were.
See me next week for the script.
Oh wow, you actually did call it. Yeah. Holy
Yeah.
crap. Yeah, so for all of you that have seen Spirit's channel, he called literally exactly every winner down to the games this week. You can't make that stuff up. That was very well done, Spirit, and I got to
Fantastic
give you
speedy
credit for
game,
that
by
one.
the way. Nicely done. Actually ended up out damaging the Karthus in the end. That was, and I would not have expected that as the with the way the game started, but that was really impressive work.
Yeah, it honestly most certainly was. Speedy in game one, even with the victory, did the most damage. He did the most damage, and he carried. I'm kind of left sitting here thinking about who the MVP was. In that first game, um, God, I'm left thinking there's a case to be made with Lemon. I think Tony ultimately, although he played really well, like there was a lot of things that I think wasn't really a pure
If we were
contribution
just
to
going
the
off of
win.
game one, I would have given it to Tony. I think for the series as a whole, I think that it would either go to
It's
Sandy or Music, honestly, because both of them I think were consistently solid throughout. I would lean towards Sandy, frankly. There was not a game where he fell behind. He was always like the steady carry threat for his team. Um, I I like I wanted like I think that Music also has a solid case for it. I think that he had a substantial gap on Jaws, but I think it really is between the two of those. I also will always throw in the word for Lemon, but I think you're going to breed that as bias no matter how many times I say it.
Yeah, I if I have to pick, I think Speedy. I think sorry, Speedy. I think Sandy has to be the one. Only because I think that his team fight on the Casio mid lane, his positioning on that, able to kill the entire back line. I think the game at that point was won. I think he figured out exactly what he had to do. He played it absolutely perfectly. Funny enough, the team is no longer in chat, but I'll see if we can get
Yeah, can we get anyone at this point? I think Music. We might have to pull in Music.
Yeah, we might. We honestly might. Let's see. We'll see what happens. Well, we have officially awarded the MVP today to Mr. Sandy Snake, who I just think played incredibly. Yeah, all right. He gave me an okay, so he does have to join a channel, but all right. We will work on getting Speedy. I keep saying Speedy. Speedy's gonna hate me for saying that. Sandy in here. All right, my man, Sandy Snake. What an incredible series. Took it to 3 games. Things were looking a little bit shaky in that game, too, and obviously Control got ahead just in general. That being said, I look back at the wins that you had, and especially in that last game, and the things that were the kind of key inflection points of the game, I can attribute to some of the plays that you made. So you get the MVP for that game. I thought you had a great series for the whole thing. How do you feel like the rest of your team performed?
I think everyone played well. We went in with a game plan. It was either put me on something that can carry and just try to match control blow for blow, or I just pick something to control and then create pressure somewhere else and just try to stay even with them. And yeah, we played basically how we intended, especially in the 2 wins. So my team played well.
Did all of that match up to your plan, especially in game 3 with the draft? Is that all what you expected to play through the whole thing?
Yeah, it was basically going to be picking just some control mage, like hard CC control mage that I could just try to CS with control with, and then, uh, yeah, as long as he didn't like get crazy far ahead, I feel like we could match everyone else blow for blow, if not better. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like
And
that
and
was the game.
and ultimately, although I think Control had a really good series, games 1 and 2, he actually fantastic games. Game 3, he was completely shut out. He wasn't able to do anything. What do you think led to that?
I There's a lot of pressure on him. He's super good. He makes good plays. He's good in lane. There's just a lot of pressure on him to perform. I think Ari's hard to do that with. I don't think he's a bad Ari. I just think it gets hard to play sometimes if you're like the only like heavy AP source in your team. But um, yeah, I've probably just the pressure of having to make the plays and get fed. And I don't know if he was trolling or if he was being funny. I couldn't really tell when he tried to like go for that charm flash mid lane. I mean,
Yeah.
if I didn't sidestep the charm and he kills me, he probably actually snowballs the game pretty hard. He would be able to clear the wave a lot faster and then get out and roam like Ari could. So, I mean, it was super close. He almost hit me, so I see what he was trying to do there. I think he just had a lot of pressure. He's super good though. He's a good player.
So was there any part of the game? Obviously, game two was an absolute bloodbath, going blow for blow. The game went very very long. How did you and your team recover after a very very close loss like that? Like how did you pick everyone up and keep the team mental in check? Because I definitely know those can be really like hard to come back from.
I kind of just well, we all kind of talked, but I kind of just said that game was winnable like 10 minutes ago. We could have closed that game out so much faster if we didn't just like conform to this 5v5 ARAM fight over and over again because like we just stopped winning them for
Yeah.
whether we misplayed or we got outscaled. I think we just misplayed, but we weren't winning it. So we just stood in bad spots and got punished. And so I just told people just like, hey, just slow it down. Neither of us are playing like super smart. So if you're not playing super smart, don't play super fast. It just makes it
Yep.
a lot harder. So basically just that. I feel like again, we actually did really well in game 2 until like maybe 25 minutes in. We just had to do the same plan over and over again.
Yeah,
Well,
I think ultimately, it's funny. You'll see this. I said this on the cast. It's all about playing simple league, understanding what your team can do, what the win conditions are, not trying to overstep and overplay. And I think your team is really good at that, and ultimately you took the win for it. So, anyway, appreciate you. Fantastic match. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the win.
One last question, Sandy. Looking ahead to next week, do you have any comments on your matchup?
Sorry, I have absolutely no idea who I'm playing next week.
Next week you are playing. You are playing janky old apes. That's
I don't know
Rook
who said
Stout's
that.
team.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. He's always fun to play against. I think he's a good jungler. So, yeah, we got a lot of different picks up our sleeve. Tony and I have been doing on some of our other accounts at times, and I think I'm ready to. Everyone just thinks I just play like 2 control mages and that's it, but I'll show them why I can still hit diamond. I'll just try to skill check some people.
There we go.
There we go. I'd love to see it. Well, please do. Awesome to have you, and thank you so much. Congratulations on the win, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Awesome. All right, folks, that is going to be a wrap. What an awesome series. Finally, we have a 2-1 and one that was back and forth and back and forth. That's what we all do TCL for. I hope you all had fun. I had a great time with you, Spirit. Fun cast. Thank you for joining me on the cast tonight, and I hope everyone has a great night. We will see you next week. Later.